Hello, everyone, and welcome to ReelTok, episode 59. It is our second annual Halloween special. Crazy that we've already gone around the horn, and we're back with our second ever Halloween special where we're all dressing up and having a good time. Of course, all of our cameras are off right now if you're watching the video version. If you're listening to us on the audio version, I recommend just popping over to the video version briefly just so you can see our big costume reveal, and then you can go back to your audio listening leisure. But today we got a packed episode, kind of a double episode today since we were off last week. We're going to be doing our Halloween special, talking horror movies, talking Five Nights at Freddy's, doing all kinds of good Halloween spooky season stuff. And then the back half of the episode is going to be kind of talking about Killers of the Flower Moon, Scorsese. So kind of a 50-50 episode this week. But it's good to be back, obviously, once again. So without further ado, we're about to do our costume reveal. Boys, give the confirmation that you're all ready. You're all good to go?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
All right.
Are we going one by one or?
No, all at the same time.
I think all at once.
What should we do one by one?
No, all at the same.
All right.
All at the same.
Sounds like George has got a mask on, so I'm really interested to see that.
Yeah,
All right.
for sure,
Yeah, I can barely hear you.
All right, so boys, get your mouse hovering over that start cam button, and we're revealing.
Okay.
Revealing in 3, 2, 1, roll. Holy shit!
Damn it! No. No.
Cam failed, obviously.
No.
Oh, and he just left. Damn, George, that's a good ass costume, or like a.
That's scary, George. I want to get out of it here right now. It's terrifying, bro.
Is it really muffled?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
There's no.
Seth, is that an Oompa Loompa costume?
What else would it be, bro?
I don't
Look
know.
at
I
it.
was just making sure I got it right. All right, Cam might be
Yeah.
back.
Tyler, are you the guy from?
I don't know
the
what's
Purge
happening.
Anarchy?
Yeah,
No.
the Purge dude.
Nice.
Should we record this again?
No, it's classic fashion, Cam. He was before
Yeah, I
the
mean, this
episode.
is
He was
just-
like,
this-
hold
this
on,
is just
one
what we-
second. Oh, there he is.
All right. Do we have any guesses? 'Cause I think I look like
you
someone, but
Woody?
I have a reveal.
Woody?
Woody's where I initially went, but I don't think it's Woody.
Nah.
That's
do
just
think
your
I look like Woody.
daytime clothing, kind
All
of.
right.
Yeah, that's
All
just Indiana fashion.
Now I got my
That's just-
little
that's just-
dinosaur right here, and this is my big. Now I'm
Oh,
just
you're the
Alan
guy
from
from
Jurassic
Jurassic
Park.
Park.
But the dinosaur is the cute part. Come on, look at him. He's sweet. I can't wear this hat during the pod, unfortunately, because I can't put my headphones on, so I can barely hear you.
That's the dog that's named after Jurassic Park, right? Echo?
Yeah, this is
Okay.
the Echo. The
George,
Velociraptor.
this is scary, bro.
What's the name of that actor? Is it Sam something? Or what? It's on tip of my tongue. Who you're
What's
supposed
up?
Sam Neill.
Sam
Sam
Neill.
Neill.
Are you Sam Neill right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, Sam Neill.
Okay, gotcha.
It's Alan. Are you an Oompa Loompa, Seth?
Yeah.
I think I just realized that.
How are you guys not figuring this out? What do you mean realize it? What else would I be? I'm orange, bro.
Took me a sec. We're switching hats. Clean, balding hat change. All right.
So we got Sam Neill from Jurassic Park. We got, I'm gonna say, an Oompa Loompa from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Wait, no, what's the original one? Willy Wonka. I always get confused with them.
An Oompa Loompa with a beard, though. I didn't want to get rid of the beard. I can't lie.
Yeah,
So it looks
that's
kinda weird.
valid. And then we got Pennywise from It Chapter 2, George's favorite movie. And then the Purge Anarchy, or the Purge, I don't know. I just
Hold
got a
on,
Purge
I've,
mask.
If you guys don't mind, I've been practicing all night.
I'm ready.
Hiya, Georgie.
I don't know about that.
I
I
was
don't
thinking,
know about that.
All right, I'm taking the mask
Was you
off.
guys
Mask
wearing the
gotta
mask
come
the
off
whole,
very
the whole
soon.
app?
No.
This is why I didn't wear a mask, because I just can't wear it.
If I wore the mask whole episode, I would just sacrifice audio quality, and I can't do that to the listeners.
Yeah, my shit. Hold on, I gotta plug my headphones.
And George's mask just looked like it would be super hot. Mine has like ventilation. ventilation
I thought that
levels.
mask when I bought the costume. I thought the mask was like a rubber mask that I could just like pull over my head. It was like straight styrofoam. That was a hard ass mask.
Damn. Did any of you do like Halloween parties or anything where you're wearing costumes, or is this all just for the show?
No, this is just for the show.
No, I don't go outside my house, man.
We had a Halloween party last night, so we actually, me and Emma, we went as like Ellie and Alan, thrifted these outfits for $20 total. Pretty impressive finds, to be quite honest with you. At the Loop.
What was Emma?
She was Ellie.
Oh, yeah.
Ellie Sattler. Shout out Goodwill for that, because we had some good finds, and this shirt is like Loki perfect for what Alan wears. And then she found like a pink a pink shirt that Ellie wears, and like they're almost identical. It was a good find.
Yeah, I didn't do any Halloween festivities this weekend, but Tuesday is when Halloween is, so like the actual day of Halloween, I'm dressing up as YB, and Riley's dressing up as Coraline from Coraline. So we're doing a couple's costume from Coraline, handing out candy to all the children. Our neighborhood's like a massive like trick or treating neighborhood, so everyone just like we learned this last year. No one like stays inside and waits for the doorbell to ring. Like everyone just like sits in their front yard with like lawn chairs.
Really?
Like, all the kids just come up to because like our street basically becomes like Mardi Gras. Like in terms of like the road just closes down and like kids are just flooding throughout the entire neighborhood. So it's like a fun time. But last year we ran out of candy by like 6 p.m. and I was like, we were not prepared. So this year we got insane bulk.
I don't think I've ever had a trick or treater come to my door in my life. It's not a thing. It's not a thing here.
Well, you're also in an apartment building, aren't you?
No, but I lived in a house with my mom. Didn't know all my life.
Oh, weird.
That's fair, I guess.
What's
Trick or
the
treating it's in New York City. It's like even in apartment buildings, it's way more common than I think you would expect.
I thought it wouldn't be common.
No, a lot of buildings, what they do is they'll ask their tenants to basically put on a sign on their door that says like yes or no, like yes, you can knock on my door, I'm participating, because obviously in the city you can't just go like house to house. That's not a thing. So a lot of like tenants will just send out a note to a lot of the landlords will send out notes to their tenants and be like, hey, if you're participating, just mark your door, like put a sign that says yes, you can knock for trick or treating, and that'll still like get the kids out and about.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's the oldest age you guys went trick or treating at? Like when did you guys stop?
I've never been trick or treating.
24, probably.
Well, because
I'm still
you're a
probably
child.
So, all right, 23 on my own and 24 with child. Man, I love trick or treating. I probably haven't in like 10 years, or maybe probably like 15 years now. I don't know.
I haven't been trick or treating probably since high school, unfortunately.
I quit before. I can't even remember.
Yes.
I don't know if I did it in high school. I think it was a middle school. And
Oh no,
maybe.
we went
Good for
around.
you.
Yeah,
I thought it was like for like 10-year-olds, George.
we got together.
I mean, it is, but then you can also get some nice candy if you're a candy fan.
Isn't high school like 18 and upwards, or is that?
No, that's
What's
college.
high school?
That's college. High
Like
school's
14 to 18.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I probably
So-
stopped around 14.
Seth, that wig looks so itchy.
It's so itchy, bro. I've been like this the whole time.
Yeah, the things coming
Kinda
down to
nice.
your side just look like they're bothering the fuck
It's
out of you.
really annoying. This fucking shit thing.
Honestly impressive. Like did you buy that just like off Amazon, or did you like
Yeah, it was
compile
cheap.
that mix and match?
No, I bought it like a direct one. It was cheap as fuck, to be fair. It stinks. You know that like really plastic, like plasticky smell when you take something out of the bag?
Yep.
That's what I've got around me right now. It's not
Yeah.
I took
Yeah,
this
it's like
guy-
anytime you buy
That's the same
costumes
thing,
or like
yeah.
cheap clothing online, it's like you got to wash it first, just because like it always smells just like factory or some like
Yeah.
ammonia.
I took this. This was the same thing as Seth. I just bought this off Amazon, so I took it out of the package last night to like air it out.
I should have done that. I did
It didn't work. It didn't work at all.
Oh.
Do you think you'll get trick or treaters at your apartment, George? Are you gonna
I'm
participate?
home right now. I'm home,
Oh.
and yeah, we will definitely get trick or treaters.
You should dress up as that and have like a red balloon, just like every time like they knock,
gonna
just like
say.
slowly let the door creak in.
Just like let the balloon out the door without seeing me first. I might just go walk around the neighborhood and just start staring at people.
Yeah, just traumatized kids, but you might have some like older people that are still traumatized from the clown trend from like 10 years ago that might just come after
Dude.
you.
I'm still traumatized from that shit.
I'm still. I swear.
I saw loads of them near me.
I don't know if I've told this story, and I think I have.
I'm sure we
on
spoke
this
about this,
podcast.
like,
yeah,
yeah,
we've
I had a similar story.
because we definitely spoke about the clown thing, but I don't know if I
We
spoke
did,
about this like
yeah.
particular story. So it was my like sophomore year of college. I had a job at like our local bagel shop, and my hours I started at 6:45 on the weekends. And this one Saturday, I woke up and it was like the height of this clown situation, and like the campus is dead. Obviously, it's like 6:30. I'm walking. I leave my dorm building, and it's just like foggy. And to get to where I need to be, I need to cross like this narrow walking bridge, and I didn't see anything. I didn't see a clown. I didn't see a single soul. But it was like the most frightening 10-minute walk of my entire life. It was like the height of the clown shit. It was
Did you see it?
foggy.
At all?
No, I never saw a clown.
Was it like a thing? Because like round
It
here,
was
there's, like,
a
lot.
huge thing.
It was a
It
big
was
thing,
it was the
yeah.
only thing all over Instagram
The
for like a
news.
month
Yeah,
straight.
same
Like
here,
just
yeah.
different videos of clowns chasing cars or whatever.
It was scary, very scary.
Yeah, that shit was frightening.
Yeah, it was fucking weird. One.
Well, today, like I mentioned, we got the Halloween special plus the Scorsese kind of discussion, Killers of the Flower Moon review. So packed episode, so we'll just dive right into it. So we'll start off as we always do with the gang's all here. Been a while since all four of us have been on an episode. Let's kind of go over just how we've been doing. So I'll go with Cam first. We haven't seen your face in 4 weeks, maybe 5 weeks, but it's obviously great to have you back. So how have you been doing, sir?
Happy to be back. It's been a while. Sorry for taking a little bit of an absence. I just needed some time away just to spend the weekends with my family a little bit. Having a kid's tough, and being contrary to popular belief, I'm not 40, being 24. It's figuring things out a whole lot. And so we're always figuring that out. And just needed a little bit of a break. Very stressful couple weeks, and like the summer really never stopped. You know how I was doing shit up every weekend, and it just made it even harder. So I took a reset, spent some time with Emma and Bailey. We set up we have like an upstairs. So right behind this door goes upstairs. And then so we have a gate now up top there. So Bailey can, like during recordings, if needed, he can run around upstairs maybe to help out, and Emma can just hang out up there. So that might help out a little bit rather than being right next to us. Echo, can you stop ripping up Izzy's costume? Oh my goodness. Please hold.
It's classic dinosaur.
Wait, you have costumes for the dogs?
Yeah, that's what I pulled
That's
up.
what he was showing.
Oh no, I wasn't here, was I? I just went to.
You were most
you
certainly
were
here.
Definitely
It was
here.
way earlier when you were in Wonk. It was during the reveal.
Oh shit, I didn't even see that.
Do all your dogs have costumes, or you just give
Yeah,
it to Echo?
both my dogs have costumes. Here, both my dogs have costumes as
What is
well as
Izzy?
Bailey. They're all just
Oh,
the
they all
same
are, okay.
Velociraptor.
Do you put like
Makes sense.
decorations? I can't. Wait,
No, we don't decorate outside. Maybe we
is it like common like to walk down the street and everyone's like?
I'd say like every 1 in 4 houses here. Like,
Oh, I thought it would be like
That's
one
the
in one.
same
Kind of.
no. So yeah, just took a little break. Happy to be back. Missed y'all. Missed the pod.
Missed you.
Took a break from TikTok. Gonna try to get back into that.
You're back today, right? In terms of like when
Yeah,
it's released.
on Monday. So I'll record a bunch.
What's the first video back? Can you
Fuck.
give us a tease?
Fuck. haven't recorded. Haven't thought of it.
You went Five Nights at Freddy's review.
This is my problem.
Do a Loki reaction, because I genuinely still don't know what happened at the end of that episode.
Dude, but I've already watched it, so I can't react.
Not a reaction, like
a
review reaction.
Yeah, like a review reaction theory
Yeah.
video. Shit.
Yeah, I have watched a bunch of theory videos on that one. We can talk Loki later.
All right.
Yeah, that's how I've been. Haven't watched a ton of movies until this week, so I got back into some movies. So happy to do that. But yeah, hopefully the episode goes well and I don't mess things up too much, because I'm rusty right now. I don't even know how to do this, but we'll figure it out.
George, how have you been?
I'm good. I'm chilling. Been home for probably like 5 or 6 days now. Just left the city a little bit to unwind and relax on Long Island, get some fresh air. Also, like fall on Long Island is just like my favorite thing in the world. I took like 3 separate drives yesterday with just like nothing to do, just drive, windows down, enjoying this nice fall weather. Caught up, Seth. I know you definitely don't have the number like right in front of you, but like, about how many new horror movies do you think you watched this horror season? Like not new
3.
releases, just like new watches, like first watches.
In October?
Just like from September up until like now, we'll say.
If I had to guess,
You're definitely way past me, but I'm around
no, I haven't done that many horrors. I honestly,
Really?
I'd say like 20, 25, maybe 20.
Oh shit. Okay. Yeah, since
I
like September.
always say I'm going to do like October horrors, and then I just kind of forget about it. I just watch like a normal amount, like how much I know. Maybe even less, honestly. I don't know.
Yeah, I did like I haven't counted, but I'm quickly sifting through my diary since the start of September. It's got to be like at least like 40 to 50.
Oh
which,
no, you've done more than me. Much more
yeah,
than me.
which I think like blows last year out of the park. Even though last year I think I watched a good amount too. So I'm pretty happy about that. My like weirdly enough, the only reason I did this is because like prior to horror season, I had like my top 50 horror movies of all time, and I wanted to see like at the end of it how much it would change.
Yeah.
It didn't change.
It didn't change.
I think there's
My,
like
my horror hasn't changed in a while. Outside
yeah,
of
my top 50 looks the exact same, except I think there's like 3 or 4 new movies.
Yeah,
like,
same as mine.
which like is great. I'm happy I watched some fantastic horror movies that made it into my top 50. But like I expected this list to look so wildly different, and I've even rewatched a lot of these horror movies, and like my thoughts on them pretty much remain the same.
I've probably done more rewatch horror movies than I've done fucking first watching. I know you've rewatched quite a lot recently.
Yeah, I've rewatched a lot recently. This week was a big rewatch week. It was one of those weeks. I was
You say that every week, bro.
I know. I say it every week.
Every
every week, I'm like, it's one of those weeks I'm not in the mood to just watch new movies. But yeah, good week. Other than that, I'm probably gonna go back to the city like Tuesday or Wednesday and hang there for a couple of days.
Nice. I know you normally work in the office, but does your job just like if you want to, you can just work remote whenever? Like
Yeah, they're really flexible about that, which is great. They have basically like a 60% policy. So if my time in office ever drops below 60%, and that's all time, that's when I'll get flagged. So I like since I started my new job the beginning of April, I've only worked from home like a handful of Fridays. So like my in-office time is above 90, so I have like room to play with that. But obviously I don't want to.
60% is pretty good, to be fair.
Yeah, 60% is a good. That's basically it's 3 days a week. They're looking for people to be in the office 3 days a week, but it's not like you have to be in the office 60% every week.
Every week,
it's like it's all time.
Yeah,
which is nice. So yeah, they're pretty flexible about that, which is very nice.
Wonder how many people are trying to game the system and abuse that in like 2024. Just like work in office until like August, and then just be like, all right, see you next year.
I've had a lot of coworkers get flagged for like dropping below that 60%, and their reaction is always the same. They're like, "Damn, that creeped up way faster than I thought it would."
Mm-hmm. Seth, how have you been?
Yeah, pretty good. I kind of got some new responsibilities this week in my own job, I guess. So for those who don't know, I basically switched roles recently. I no longer really do the online coaching thing. The personal training thing.
I thought you were about to announce an Anna pregnancy, if I'm being honest.
No.
Awesome.
No.
I was like, yo, is he about to announce this on the podcast?
No.
That would have been great.
That's not happening probably ever. But yeah, for those who don't know, I'm basically like I only really coach people I want to anymore. I don't really do it as a job. My job now is to coach coaches. So I help coaches improve their business, basically. That's kind of my job, as well as obviously TikTok and everything else. But basically got some new stuff on, so spent a lot more time on that this week. I got accepted to, I didn't know this, but like Leeds, which is obviously a city near me, they've got a film festival next month at the start, like in like 2 weeks. I thought they'd be showing like, low-key like releases. They're showing like Poor Things, Zone of Interest, Anatomy of a Fall.
Oh, that's sick.
Dude. No, unfortunately.
Damn. Then what's the point?
But like, so I applied. I was like, I'm just gonna apply for a press pass, just in case. I got it, and then they were like, what tickets do you want? And I was like, straight away, Poor Things. That's like the course. That's the only one I didn't get because they'd run out by the time I did it.
Oh no!
Brutal.
I'm gonna see some cool things. I'm gonna see Monster, which apparently meant really good. I'm gonna see Anatomy of a Fall.
I think you're gonna love Anatomy of a Fall. I really do.
I think I'm going to see the holdovers, and I might be able to get tickets for All of Us Strangers as well with Paul Mescal, which is one that I'm really, really excited for. But yeah, as far as the week's gone, pretty standard. Nothing much to report. Tyler, I know you watched Francis and Tyson last night.
Oh yeah. I was like, what are you about to say? Like, what movie did I watch that you're going to like specifically call out? I was looking at my like recently watched, but no, that fight was, I don't know, it was. I mean, a lot of people calling it robbery, just like they were with Tommy Fury.
Who won the fight? Like actually,
Tyson
Fury
split.
Yeah, Fury won the fight in a split, but like I scored it for Francis, but it's not one of those that I'm like up in arms about. It could have gone either way. But the embarrassing thing is, like, that was Francis' first, not even just pro boxing fight, first ever boxing fight. And he fought the number one guy in the world, number one undefeated. Shit. It really is. And then he dropped him, and it genuinely was like some Rocky shit.
Yeah, that video I saw of him dropping. Crazy. Yeah, that video I saw.
So, question for you, Seth. Do you, when you say you scored him, do you like sit there and like watch the fight and score it during the fight?
Yeah,
you don't just like watch the fight and just sit back and.
Every combat sports fan kind of does that because like scoring's not like a hard. You don't like. It's not like a hard thing. It's just like you score. So every round is scored like by 10, like a 10-9 or a 10-8, whatever. It's just something. It's not like I'm not counting every individual punch. You just watch it. And you kind of score it. It's like pretty normal.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty.
I didn't know if you had like a pad and paper out and you were like adding up punches during these fights.
No, they're pretty like easy to do. You just kind of watch it and give your own thoughts. But like, yeah, so I scored it for Francis, but it wasn't a robbery. But that was quite fun. I usually just kind of hate boxing as well. So that was quite a fun time. But yeah, apart from that, week's been pretty standard as far as I'm concerned. Also, I do look like I've got a tan right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. You look like you have a nice tan on.
A little bit orange.
Keep that.
That's it.
Keep that look.
I know.
It's that Oompa Loompa look.
Yeah.
That Oompa Loompa shine. Yeah, no, that boxing fight yesterday was interesting. Like they put on such a crazy spectacle.
Did you watch it was like I thought it was like
an hour-long pre-show of like 7
It was like an hour and a half. It was like Super Bowl kind of shit. Do you know what I mean? Like performances, boxing's the amount of money. Did you see, Tyler, how many like fighters and celebrities Saudi Arabia flew out to watch the fight? Like Eminem, Kanye West, every boxer you could possibly think of, like actors. It was fucking like insane. Like the amount of money in boxing is like Tyson Fury. His base pay for last night was 40 million.
Like I think in Ghana was like 10 million. I think, right?
But they only fight like once every how many months?
I would say boxers are usually high level, probably usually once or twice a year.
Yeah. But Fury's older to where I don't think he'd fought in like 18 months at this point or something.
Yeah,
like that.
So I mean, like that is a shit ton of money to make in one night. But if you think about like a lot of pro athletes who play the full year, they're like around there just for the 1 year kind of thing.
40 million for one?
Maybe not. Maybe not 40 million in a year. I guess like 40 million is their full contract.
Actually, to be fair, some of the NFL players earn fucking.
I mean, what's Mahomes at, Tyler? Is he like 30 million?
He's like 300 million, but it's like a 10-year.
But it's like a 10.
Isn't like LeBron James on like 150 for like 3 years or 2 years?
Basketball is probably like the high where everyone seems to just have.
I thought baseball was the highest, like absurd.
I thought football was. Oh no, football. I thought like Ronaldo.
There's a lot of highly paid baseball players, but you have to play 162 games a year, and you basically are like traveling from like February
162
to October.
a year.
Yeah,
like that's the only sport I think it's like worth it because like you
NBA is like 84, isn't it? Like basketball,
82,
Same 82. That's crazy how much they play. That's insane.
Yeah. But a lot of leagues like that now are looking to like, or maybe they're not looking to reduce games, but I think to get fans back into it, they want to.
That's too much.
It's like it's like superhero fatigue. It's baseball fatigue.
Yeah.
Or basketball fatigue, especially when players are like taking off half the games. That doesn't happen in baseball though.
Right. Yeah. Well, I've been good. I traveled home to Minnesota for the first time in like 2 years, like I said, last week for my buddy Austin's wedding. So that was a really fun time. Always good seeing the fam for the first time in a while. It was a lot cooler weather there, so that was nice as well. But yeah, just traveling and such. That's why there was no episode last week. I was traveling to Minnesota, and just getting back. This whole week of work was like I don't know, like because I had to take Monday off because I flew back Monday, so I didn't start the work week till Tuesday. And I thought that was gonna like rejuvenate me to have a shorter work week, but like this whole work week was honestly just like a throwaway because like I just felt behind so much, so I just like never really cared to catch up. So it's like we'll just call this an L for a week. We'll just fire it back up next week with a really productive, like strong work week because I was like just not in the right headspace. It's like weird to like when you don't start on a Monday, like. And you're like, well, and everyone else is working on a Monday, and you kind of jump back in. You're like, oh shit! Now I gotta like, basically by the time like Friday hit, I was like just finally catching up from what I've missed, and then like I was like, well, now I have all this from this week. I was like, oh, you know what? It's just time for the weekend. I don't even care. But it's good to be back. It feels like it's been a while since I talked to all three of you at the same time.
Question. Before I left, sorry for the stutter. Were we doing what have you been watching this early? I wasn't prepared. Yeah. I'm looking at.
We have been the last few weeks. Yeah.
All right. Well,
just because all of October, we've been having like themed episodes where
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
just like, we don't want to like mess up the flow of like, so we're just like going to get it all out of the way at the beginning and then kind of get into the actual bulk of it.
That's what I was wondering. Like, but did we do that before I left? Because I haven't been here.
Oh, I don't know if we
No,
did
no,
it before
no.
you left. I
That
think we
makes
did
me
it
feel
before.
better.
Yeah,
That
we
makes me
started
feel
that with the like Halloween
stuff.
episodes.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes me feel better then.
So yeah, let's go over what we've been watching this week. Started off with, well, I guess Cam, what have you been watching this month?
Dude, this month's not been anything except I got into like, so I originally had watched I didn't get into it, but we rewatched The Haunting of Hill House, right? Because that shit is just fantastic, incredible. And then my wife doesn't love Haunting of I don't love Haunting of Bly Manor either. And we kind of like Midnight, the Midnight Club. Mass. we watched Midnight Mass. We have one episode left.
I haven't seen that.
And we watched the Fall of the House of Usher, which is a new one. The Fall of the House of Usher, I loved. Really dark, not necessarily horror, but really dark and just like thrillery, I would say.
Did you say something about it being like a little filled with jump scares though? So it's not really like a.
It does have like it's not horror. I wouldn't say, but it does have like at least 3 jump scares each episode that just every time. Mike Flanagan does such a good job at crafting a jump scare. That dude can craft a jump scare for sure. And so I really love that show. It's a lot to do with like the opioid crisis and just like older generations fucking newer generations and stuff like that. Obviously based on Edgar Allan Poe poems. It's really good. I liked it a lot. So if you haven't watched it, yeah, go watch it. And then I watched Five Nights at Freddy's twice.
Yeah, I can't believe you watched that.
Yeah.
Twice.
So my wife and I had plans to watch it. All right, and this is me being a bad husband. I watched it prior.
She was so excited for it.
She went out with friends. So I was alone. And so I thought she'd be hungover the next day, which she was, but that just means spend the whole day in bed.
Isn't that more likely to watch a film though? You know what I mean? When
I thought I'd have Bailey, but he took a long nap yesterday and it's not that long of a movie. It's whatever. Movie sucks. Probably the only 2023 release I've watched twice, I think, other than Across the Spider-Verse and Guardians of the Galaxy, just because. Oh, and Oppenheimer, I guess. So my top 3. I watched The Thing.
Fuck yeah.
The original or the remake?
The original. And you know what the worst thing about Peacock is? Every time I clicked on The Thing, it was the remake because they like put that, because I started watching the original. And so they just put the like remake in my face every time. So I was thinking, this is the original. It's right there. Obviously, I can just continue watching when I needed to. It was the remake. And then I'd sit through their hour 30 of ads or whatever they have on Peacock. So fuck you, Peacock. Pay your writers. I watched No Hard Feeling. Oh, sorry. I wanted to talk The Thing. First off, I really liked it. I thought it was fantastic. I love the ambiguous ending. I like that a lot. My biggest thing is I think The Thing's a bitch. I fuck The Thing, man. It pissed me off during it because, there's 5 people or however many people left. And Kurt Russell, the main guy, he's like testing everyone's blood and everyone's all pissed about it. And like, you shouldn't test my blood, whatever. If you're not The Thing, you have no issue getting your blood tested. So why is there this conflict?
Afraid of needles.
This movie? Like, yeah, no. And like, it shouldn't be a big deal unless you're The Thing. And The Thing's a bitch because it doesn't like even try to fight during this. Like it just, as soon as The Thing's blood goes off, it just flamethrower. And I don't know. Then
did you like the effects, Cam?
Yeah, the effects. The effects.
So
I'm not
cool.
like super old horror like guy. So like the effects I thought looked really good from a practical standpoint, but I think they're of the time, which is fine. I enjoyed that. I didn't have an issue with it. It's just not my like favorite thing in the world. I watched No Hard Feelings this week. Didn't love it. Wish I liked it more. I like the ending. The Covenant
felt about the same.
Yeah, The Covenant I watched. These are just 2023 releases I'm going through.
Wait, what's The Covenant? Am I totally blanking?
It's the Jake Gyllenhaal guy.
Oh, I literally saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, you watched it. Totally killer. Shout out Claire Dunphy.
Is that the Prime one everyone's watching? I haven't seen that.
Yeah, it's on Prime. It's like
Good.
it's like a time thing. And then finished Ahsoka. I'm sure George talked about that a little. Liked it a lot. Didn't love the finale. Episodes 4 through 6 are fantastic. Great lore. Some good lore at the very end of the season, but didn't love the finale. The lightsaber battles were just kind of lackluster for me. And then older movies, Knocked Up, Moneyball, The Avengers, that sort of thing. Just kind of ran through it, but didn't watch a whole lot while I was off. Like I said, taking time with family, all that jazz. But that's kind of where I'm at.
Seth, what have you been watching this week?
I watched it. Well, last week we haven't spoken to you guys in ages. Obviously, I was in hospital, which was fun. That was really, really nice. And then basically, because I was in hospital on Sunday night, I was really unwell, and the day after, I just spent like a day watching films. I rewatched Coraline for the first time in like a few years.
Nice.
It's so good. It's such a good film. Like I think it's fucking fantastic. I watched.
I should say, sorry to cut you off, and I know I'm back, so I gotta cut everyone off. I watched Coraline, but it was in a setting where like there were like 12 people in one room, and it was just kind of on while we were hanging out. But I did watch Coraline. Still scares the shit out of me.
So good. George, I watched you, bro. Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
What is this crazy?
The thing is, right? It's not like I know what you mean because you look at it and you're like, that's going to be terrible. Like it's not. It's like comedy. It's comedy horror.
Yeah,
like,
I'm not expecting it to be terrible. It just came out of nowhere. I think like Alex logged it first, and then like the next day, like 10 more mutuals logged in. I was like, what the fuck is happening?
So I did some like research. It's like probably like cult classic kind of thing, but some of the effects, like the clowns are fucking weird, man. Like it's really like enjoyable, honestly.
I'll watch it. I still got what? When's Halloween? Tuesday. So I got a couple more days of new horror movie watches. I'll add that to the list.
Yeah. I watched the Banshees of Inisherin. Actually, only my second watch this year, I think. I watched Scrapper, Tyler. Obviously, I know you saw it when you did Sundance. So it was really, really good. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Funeral Parade of Roses, which is great. On the Count of Three, I thought it was okay. I wasn't huge on the ending, to be honest. I didn't really like the ending. I watched the Psycho remake. Tyler, I know you quite like that. I thought it was fine. I didn't really. I
thought it was fine too. I don't think I really liked it.
You give it
like 3. Oh, did I? I thought I gave it 3.5.
Yeah. Oh. I wasn't huge. It was a low 4-star. I wasn't huge on Vince Vaughn as Norman Bates, but I think like there are some good stuff in there. Like there's some shots that you could argue are actually a bit more enjoyable. But it's I wasn't huge on it. It was fine.
Yeah, William H. Macy was the cop, right?
Yeah, and then obviously I didn't really. Yeah, I know you told me this, but I forgot that Viggo Mortensen was in it as well, and Julianne Moore kind of caught me off guard. It was quite like the cast is fucking good.
Yeah, Anne Heche was like the main.
Yeah. 2001: Space Odyssey rewatched last week, which is great. Five Nights at Freddy's. I wasn't actually as low on it as you guys, but it's probably because I did play the games, but I also thought it was pretty terrible. I watched The Killer. George, really liked it. I went to see that in cinemas the other day. Definitely a cinema film, like big screen, you know what I mean, made for it, the sound and stuff. Actually in my top 5 Fincher ever, funny enough, like probably maybe, I think it's probably 5th or 4th, like around that. I really, really liked it. It was really, really good. The most product placement in any film ever, by the way. It's
hilarious.
It just works, doesn't it? Halloween. Halloween I watched yesterday because obviously we were reviewing. And then I also watched what I spoke to George about yesterday, and I think he watched it as well. When Evil Lurks. Crazy. Absurd. Just probably my favorite horror film from this year. And there's not like that much to go off, but it's probably like neck and neck with probably Talk to Me. And yeah, that's probably about it. Yeah, about it.
George, how about you?
Yeah. All over the place, kinda. I've weirdly checked off Nightmare on Elm Street 2, 3, and 4.
I saw you watched was it the 4th one you watched yesterday?
Yeah, the 4th one was just terrible.
I haven't seen any of them apart from first.
Yeah, they're I don't think they're that great. The 3rd one I said is one of those movies I can respect, but it's just not for me. And the 2nd one I just thought was very bad. A rewatch of The Shining, obviously, got to do that every year. Halloween, which we're going to talk about on our Real Quick episode in a couple of days. Five Nights at Freddy's. I watched Tales of Halloween, which was kind of like this.
How's that?
It's like, it's not a movie, it's an anthology, but it's like
Oh.
it's 10 little stories just packed into one movie. They're like 6 to 15 minutes each. They're corny.
Oh.
They're poorly acted, but production value surprisingly high, which is great. But overall, not the best. The Green Knight I rewatched, which every time I rewatch this movie, it really climbs my ranks of like not only like the best A24 films, but like my favorite films. I think that movie just absolutely rips.
I'll watch it again eventually.
I know. I see that 2.5-star rating. You should give it.
I think I'll really like it. Like that seemed like a film I would love. I don't know what.
I literally exactly what I said to myself when I saw that 2.5. I'm like, damn, this is like a movie like Seth should like.
I know. I will.
Like what I want you to do is I want you to read my review and then rewatch the movie.
Okay, that's fine. I'll do it
because I'm a genius, basically.
Okay.
But yeah, that's about it. A lot of rewatches at like the beginning of the week. Dune, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Dark Knight Rises. But back into the horror stuff now.
The Dark Mid Rises.
Oh, stop it.
Okay. Sorry.
Grow up.
Let's see. So I haven't been watching a ton while I was traveling. I was just like so packed back to back with stuff. So kind of last 2 weeks, rewatched Scream 4. Really, obviously, it's my favorite Scream. I just the whole first 15 minutes, I just think are so fun. Like it's just one of the funnest openings to any like movie ever. Just so many, just like hilarious. Just the twists just keep coming. The Scream franchise is just so fun. Watched Scorsese's Silence. Loved it. We were initially going to do a real quick review of it last week, but yeah, it's I think number 2 all time for me on Scorsese's rankings. So
wow, really?
Yeah, I thought it was really great.
That brightens my heart, Tyler. Thank you.
Yeah, it's number 2 because the only thing I have above it is The Departed, and I do genuinely think Silence is a better film, but The Departed is just like my favorite, so I don't think it'll ever really be topped. Then watched that right before Killers of the Flower Moon. Watched The Burial, which has that like corny Jamie Foxx poster on Prime Video, but like it's honestly really good. Like the poster does not do justice. It's my favorite. I know I haven't seen Anatomy of a Fall yet, but so far it's like my favorite courtroom movie I've seen in a long time. It's incredible. The acting is great. It's based on a true story. And as corny as like the poster looks, it's like a very serious, well done movie. So I think The Burial is like a slept on movie from this year. Rewatch Asteroid City on the Plane, still one of my favorite movies of the year. Rewatch Catch Me If You Can, didn't love it as much this time, but still really like that movie. Just young Leonardo DiCaprio, he's always been so great in his career. Then on the plane back, I rewatched John Wick Chapter 4. Still really liked it. It's just like a 2-hour, 40-minute movie that just feels so fast because it's just nonstop action. So it's like the perfect for a plane when you just want time to go by quickly. So it's like long movie, but it doesn't feel long. So it just makes the plane ride fly by. Finally finish off the Spy Kids franchise with the fourth one. Yeah, fourth one. Spy Kids all the time in the world.
Wait,
you know what's the fifth one? Armageddon.
Yeah, I watched that first, and then I watched the first 30, and then watched this one.
Sounds like torture.
Yeah, the new ones don't look good.
Yeah,
although Jessica Alba's in the fourth one, isn't she? So
yeah, I put my review that Joel McHale could never pull Jessica Alba. This is the most unrealistic thing that's ever happened in the Spy Kids movies.
That's post hair plug Joel McHale, right?
Yeah, but he could do a lot of things himself, and he still wouldn't be able to pull Jessica Alba. Let's be honest here. Come on. Joel McHale always just gives us like creepy old guy vibes. Like that's what his whole character and Community was based off of to me. Like he just always looked way older than everyone else, but was like flirting with them. I was like, this is just making me uncomfortable, honestly. Rewatched 8 Mile for the first time in like honestly like at least a decade, but it's just so good, man. Eminem, like I know it's not technically like a biopic on his life, it's like loosely based on his life, but you got to be such a baller to have like a biopic made about yourself when you're like still alive and acting in it. Like that's just when you know you're just like a god. And that was like he like arguably didn't even peak yet in 2002.
Yeah,
Anthony Mackie and Michael Shannon as like his.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Is it Michael Shannon? Damn.
Yeah, and I was like, damn.
I used to watch The Last Battle like so much.
Yeah, it's so good. And Lose Yourself, like unironically, is one of the greatest like original songs ever made for a movie.
It's a shame that Eminem hasn't made anything good in like 15 years. Let's be honest.
Correct.
Not 15.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong.
Relapse and Recovery, I thought were
that was like 15
great.
years. Oh no, maybe it was like 12.
Recovery was 2011.
It's been a while.
Okay,
Yeah.
so 12 years.
Been a while, but he still was at the top of the game for like a long time. I think the only one who's been at like the top longer is probably like Drake, even though a lot of people hate Drake. But I mean,
Yeah, I don't think
he's been at the
Drake's
top.
making great things.
Yeah, but no one can deny he's been at like the
Yeah.
top for like 2 decades now,
Yeah.
or 15 years.
That's fair.
Watch The Favorite. I want to see Seth watch it because he
Yeah, I
loves
need to
Olivia
watch
Colman, obviously, and it's a Poor Thing season. But I liked it. I didn't love The Favorite. I was expecting more, I guess, since I'm so late to the game on it. Surprise! I love Olivia Colman like almost as much as Seth does. But I'm surprised she won Best Actress for this. It won just because it's like a weird performance, like weird role. Like I was surprised the Academy gave it an award, but I feel like I've seen Olivia Colman be better before. But I mean, it's kind of like probably like Leonardo DiCaprio, where it's like nice that they got an award. Probably not.
Gary
The
Oldman,
Revenant wasn't his best
yeah.
role ever, but like
Yeah,
it's kind of like I'm glad they got an award. But yeah, it's an interesting movie. I was just kind of expecting a little more. I think I definitely like The Lobster more from Yorgos Lanthimos.
I haven't seen that either.
The Lobster's an interesting movie.
I've only seen
Yeah.
Killing with Baker Deer. I haven't
Movie.
movie. Too.
Yeah, Seth, you got to get in your Yorgos
I know.
Lanthimos watch through. He doesn't have too many films because
It's like
he has The
4.
Favorite and The Lobster, and other than that, they're all Greek films before
The
before
Dogtooth
then.
meant to be really good. apparently.
Dogtooth and like Old Calitero and one other thing. There's like a
I thought
couple
that was
Greek
it.
films, but
Fair enough.
and then yeah, of course, watch Halloween and Five Nights at Freddy's. Five Nights at Freddy's reviews coming in just a couple minutes, and then Halloween will be coming on Friday. So yeah,
I think we should shout out to I don't know if you guys did this last week. Shout out to podcast wait, what were they? Guests. That's the word I'm looking for. The Raiders of the Lost Pod boys and Soups with some short films coming out recently. Midnight Ruin and then Not Anymore for Mr. Soups.
not anymore. Yeah, we shouted out Midnight Ruin last week.
Okay.
But yeah, so Not Anymore is what Soups is, and it's on his YouTube, right? And then Midnight Ruin,
Yeah.
obviously, of course, on Raiders of the Lost Podcast YouTube.
There's some interesting stuff in Not Anymore, especially
Dude,
in the end.
the
Interesting.
practical effect
unironically
work was
liked it.
kind of crazy.
Yeah, there is some like interesting stuff. I was like, okay, fair enough.
Soups, put it on Letterboxd, man. That's what
true.
we need.
It's
Yeah,
easy.
and for someone who's like always like the MCU guy, he had some like interesting camera work, honestly, in there. I was like, oh, where did you see
Did he
this? from,
direct it
sir?
or did he act in it?
I don't
No,
know.
yeah,
He's acted in
it's
it.
not his. Like, I mean, I don't
He
know if it's
adapted it.
considered. I don't know if he produced it, but his name was not like listed as the director.
I think he produced it. I think
Yeah.
that might be right.
He's getting into acting more. I wish you the best, Soups. Wish you the best.
Yeah, I mean, he was in a movie this year that was not the worst of the year. I don't even think it's in my bottom 5 anymore.
I think he might have the best TikTok acting performance. Just does what he
What
does.
is there? Like
Addison Rae, the one guy in The Bear. Remember that guy?
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure there are more that I can't think of. Logan
King
Paul
Batch
or
was,
something.
like, in a
King
lot of,
Bach
like-
was in something.
Wasn't he Vine? Isn't that a Vine guy?
Yeah,
Vine,
he's more of a
okay.
Vine star, but I feel
I'm
like
sure
he's been in a couple.
there's going to be
movies.
more popping up. Don't you wait, or just wait.
I'll be
Yeah.
in the movie. I'll be in the movie soon. Don't worry.
Yeah. So before we kind of get into our horror segment, obviously massive rest in peace to Matthew Perry. I'm sure everyone has heard the news at this point. I don't think I've seen a celebrity death that's gotten like this much, like so much posting and love and support and coverage, like since like Chadwick Boseman. Honestly, it's been a long time since I've seen like this much united, just like outpouring of support and love. Died tragically. So there's Monday when it was uploading 2 days ago. Obviously massively sad news. I wasn't like a huge Friends guy, so I'll let you guys talk more because I know that Friends is a big part of your guys' life, but
Yeah,
very sad.
really sad. I grew up watching Friends constantly with my dad. Chandler was always my favorite. Really, really sad. I spoke to obviously you guys about it last night. Very sad. I just like to point out as well, if you are using people's deaths to farm impressions on Twitter, like you are fucked. Like there's so many people doing it. It's disgusting. Like, for example, do you know the thing that's going around recently, that like meme where it's like what's his name, the WWE guy, Vince McMahon, where he's like crying or something.
Mhm.
Right.
So many people have been using that to
Oh,
like
yeah.
say like, oh, Dad, what was he like in Friends? And it's just like, let's just stop. It's fucking weird.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, really, really sad.
I was
Very
gonna
sad.
say we tweeted about it, so I hope that
No,
doesn't
no,
count
I
as
mean,
far.
like,
No.
We're a movie
I mean,
podcast.
like,
I've seen like sports commentators tweeting like "Rest in
Yeah.
peace, Matthew Perry." It's like this isn't your content, like your brand. So it
I
doesn't
don't mean
really
like
make
I don't
sense.
mean
I don't
like
know
saying
if we
rest in
need to
peace. I
keep
just mean like using
that.
it with like a meme that's like you're
That's
trying to
That's
clearly get views from. It's fucking weird. It's so weird.
Yeah. I love Friends. I've seen Friends through and through. I watched it 10 times for 10 seasons. That was my I was something I watched a shit ton in like middle school, growing up, and I love Friends. Very sad death, and especially like if you watch Friends and you didn't know, he has a lot of substance abuse stuff going on and like and alcohol abuse, and you can tell like he ebbs and flows through Friends. And he was fine. He's clean now, and it's really sad how he passed. And so that's always a bummer to see. Like he kind of got through the thick of it, fought that for a long time in his life, and got through it, and now passes this way. Is sad to see, but really, really a bummer.
Yeah, huge bummer. Friends is like the one, like throughout like the 8 years Victoria and I have been together, that's the one thing we rewatch more than anything else.
Yeah.
So big sad.
It's gonna be weird to rewatch now.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be weird to rewatch. It's also just like Cam said, it's like it's so sad because like he did have like his substance abuse problems, and the cause of his death had
nothing to do with
that, which I'm sure a lot of people had expected to be the case. So yeah, really untimely death. Really, really fucking sad. Watching Friends is gonna be really weird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very sad news. Age 54 when he died, so just way too young. And feel like because I've seen probably like 12 episodes of Friends in my life. I've never been a huge fan of the show, so I feel like, Cam, I'm sure you've seen this plenty of times, like football fans or whatever, like someone just like say like a quarterback like tears their ACL and has like a gruesome injury, like the top comment under it will be like, as an Eagles fan, like this is really sad. Like it's like everyone's like, saying like, so it's like I feel like and being like, I'm not a Friends fan, but like still super sad. Like it's like every time there's an NFL injury, I feel like that always happens. Speaking of wild injuries and like deaths, like Seth, I saw like a hockey team, like Sheffield, like hockey team,
bro,
because he was on the Pittsburgh Penguins, which is like a hockey team I follow a ton. And he like, I think it was yesterday, right? He like died on the ice, and they had to like.
I woke up this morning, and Anna told me because Anna's friend, I don't know if she went to it or like she follows the team or something, because hockey's like weirdly a lot of people watch it here. And yeah, like I think like the what you call it, the skate like sliced his neck or something.
My god!
And he died like in the stadium. It's fucking really sad, like crazy. This morning, yeah, absolutely horrible.
Yeah, it sounded like a crazy scene because they like evacuated the stadium too and stuff. Because like obviously like American NFL fans obviously remember DeMar Hamlin was not that long ago for the Bills when he like died on the field and had to be revived. But like they continued playing the game after that. But like to have them say like literally everyone has to leave the stadium of a major medical emergency.
Yeah,
crazy.
That's crazy.
Hockey's dangerous ass sport.
That's one of those things like you get in, if you ever get into hockey or something, your parents will be like, well, you got to be careful of the skates. And you rarely, you'll see a cut from a skate or something, but you rarely see like super crazy things like that, or that's something you're warned about. But I feel like I never actually see it. So that's insane. That's terrible to hear about.
Yeah, it's just such a wild sport to like, just like, oh, let's strap knives onto our feet and go 30 miles per hour back and forth, like, and hit each other while we're doing it.
Is that how fast they go? Fuck me, I've never watched hockey again.
If you ever go and they go way faster than you think. Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, now let's roll into our horror segment. So we're gonna first review Five Nights at Freddy's, which I tweeted like, sorry I wasn't familiar with your game. I knew that there's a lot of cult following and fans. I did not expect for a simultaneous streaming release for them to get like 140 million.
You went to this movie.
I told you
this.
You're gonna make money,
George.
I knew it would make money, but the fact that it was released on the same day and streaming,
that was the most whack news. I saw it literally like I got home, I sat down, I wrote my Letterboxd review. Open Twitter, first thing I see, Five Nights at Freddy's releases in 1 hour on Peacock. I was like, shut the fuck. I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, it's just wild that they released it so quickly on Peacock. But I mean, with how much money they lost, like I guess maybe they're just trying to boost up their subscription numbers. So who knows? But Five Nights at Freddy's, Obviously inspired by the video games that have had a, I don't even know if you can call them a cult following. Like they do have a cult following, but they're
It's
just genuinely
bigger.
like very
Yeah,
popular
it's
games.
big
So it's like
popular,
cult
yeah.
following is like too much downplaying
Niche.
it. But recently fired and desperate for work, a troubled young man named Mike agrees to take a position as a night security guard at an abandoned theme restaurant, Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. But he soon discovers that nothing at Freddy's is what it seems. Starring Josh Hutcherson, starring Matthew Lillard. Those are the only two I think from the cast that like I actually like know from other things.
They got Beck from You.
Beck from You, yeah.
Yeah, I don't
I've not
know her
seen
name.
You,
I
but-
wish I did, but she's Beck. That's
Beck from
what
You.
I know her from.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's go into this. First, I'll start with George just simply because like he's like I thought George would have to miss this week's podcast because he's gonna be like in jail based on like how violently he was like attacking people for how bad this movie was and how much he was just like.
I think every person that tweeted it's not that bad. He's like worst movie of the year.
That's so bad.
Goes
Just
by.
tweeted it now. He's just tweeted it now.
I literally just tweeted it actually, like literally like 5 minutes ago.
Sorry to give you PTSD and bring back up this traumatic experience.
Yeah,
from you, but
that's
yeah,
on me
let's hear it.
for my aggressive reaction to this movie. But yeah, no, everything. It wasn't just the reason I'm so upset is it wasn't like just the movie. It wasn't just the movie. It was the whole experience. Like my theater, I've never been in a crowd with such disrespectful people. Even during No Way.
Bad things about the in-theater crowds.
Even here's my thing. Like No Way Home was without a doubt the loudest theater experience of my life. But between the cheer moments, everyone was silent. Everyone at least respected the movie. People in this film, I'm going to call it a movie. It doesn't deserve to be called a film. People in this movie don't even, they were talking the entire time. Kids, adults, the age range was crazy in this theater.
Yeah,
the age range, like I was sitting literally to the left of me, there was some fucking 9-year-old twerp munching on nachos the entire time. And then like 2 seats over, there was like a very old couple. So the age range was all over the place. But like the entire movie, all I kept hearing was, do you think this will show up? Do you think that will show up? Oh, that was an interesting change to the game. I'm like, dude, I was like, shut. And it wasn't like 1 or 2 people. It was every single person in the audience. I went to this movie with my dad. We were the only two not talking the entire time.
What did your dad think?
He
texted me before.
Hated it. Once the credits started
Did you
rolling,
tell him it was on Peacock?
I did not know.
You're gonna tell him now? You should tell him now.
No. Once the credits started rolling, I looked at it. I go, "That was shit," and he just laughed. But yeah, the movie itself was also just terrible. And I never played the game, so obviously take my review with a grain of salt. I never played the game. Seth, I know you gave it a 2.5, and you credit like a 2. Sorry, and you credit like that high of a rating because you played the game. So
high of a rating.
Yeah, literally. So just take like my review with a grain of salt. It just felt like the most like generic and bland adaptation that they could have possibly brought to the screen. It felt, no disrespect to Seth at all, but it felt like Seth could have written this movie. That is how trash it was. It felt like a casual.
That's a stray of the century.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, what the fuck did I do?
What I'm saying is, it felt like any casual player of the game could have written this movie. Okay, and that's not saying I'm sure you're a great writer.
I could write better than that movie. Like, chill. What the fuck do you mean?
Are you sure? Because George doesn't think so.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my fault. That was a crazy. It was, and I know I'm kind of beating like a dead horse here because I know this is like the consensus criticism, but like it really does ring true. It was just tonally all over the place. There were moments where the movie like really took itself seriously as a horror movie, and then there were moments that were just like so stupid and so corny. And I don't know if the game was like that. Again, I never played the game, but like when it comes to movies, that just made for such like a nauseating experience. Like this movie just had such an identity crisis. It was absurd. And then my biggest problem, like I never expected this movie to be good. Like I was never like on the side of Five Nights at Freddy's. I don't like video game adaptations. I just never think they've been like good. I, at the very least, thought this movie was going to be fun or scary, and it was neither of those two. It was neither fun nor scary, which like just bothered me like endlessly.
Yeah.
Just
real quick to bounce off that on the fun aspect. This is a wild movie to make light of. There are corpses. Are we getting into spoilers at all?
Yeah.
It's Five Nights.
I don't care.
These are children corpses in these bears. They make note of that the bodies are in the bears for 40 plus years. They have stolen and kidnapped 5 or 6 children. And it makes very big light on this is one of the most wanted men in America. There are like 5 children that are taken and murdered. How this is not a PG-13 subject to just make light of. Like that's insane.
One thing I did not realize until they like mentioned it in the movie, I didn't realize the bodies of the children were inside.
It's not. She says it's not just the ghosts.
She said it's the bodies.
That's what I was like. This is fucked up.
I thought
it
was just like their soul or something.
This is a Criminal Minds episode that we've just made. Like this is fucked up. This dude stole like 5 or 6 kids and put them into animatronic bodies and left the corpses there for 40 years. They would be rotting. That place has to smell crazy.
It wouldn't be bodies anymore.
It's got to smell crazy.
The body like would have liquefied and fallen on the floor. Like it would be just bones in this chest. And I'm talking to Emma about this during the movie, and I'm like, I feel like this is just like skipping over the fact that these are children's bodies that we have just like left in here. So yeah, George, you're right. It's not fun because that's fucked up and stupid, and just like they went too light with it to make it like not a serious thing. It would be a serious thing. You wouldn't just have this fucking building anymore. Like
fucking crazy.
Oh my god, man.
My review is done. Worst movie of the year. This shit sucked.
Seth, as someone who's played the games and definitely have the most understanding of the lore of this podcast, give us your thoughts and try and give us some background on like what might have been transferred from the games, what was left out that you were surprised of, or just how was the adaptation overall? Because like we said, we haven't played the game, so we can't really talk to like how well it was adapted.
Yeah. Well, I was a casual player. Like I don't remember it that well. I just remember like the premise and how to play and stuff like that. But man, I wasn't expecting like too much. I wasn't expecting something that was like thematically compelling or anything like that. But I think they played it so safe because not only did it come across as a generic horror film that was stuck in what it wanted to be between something that was brutal and something that was tame and made for children. And again, like Cam said, with the subject matter, either commit to it or don't. And it didn't at all. Like I wasn't expecting like an onslaught of brutality because at the end of the day, it is a game that kids played, I guess. Although I will say the game, like genuinely scary at points. That's not even a joke. Genuinely scary.
Okay, I was gonna ask that, like, how, because like this does, like, I can see it being just like a very corny and campy game. I was gonna ask, like, how scary does it like actually get?
Oh, so in the game, like this is the issue I had with it as well. Like I saw this on Twitter, so a lot of people were complaining, and a lot of people weren't complaining that there's no. So the game premise is that you're basically sat in the office and you're kind of watching the cameras. And you have to keep the electricity up to use the lights carefully. And then if the electricity goes off in one of the rooms, they get closer to you, kind of thing. And then if you keep doing it, they keep losing light, they end up like right in front of you, kind of thing. And there was nothing in the film that showcased what the game did,
like them getting closer or anything.
Yeah, like them getting closer. The lights going out. There was like one scene of that. I would have liked, obviously not a whole film because you can't direct a whole film from gameplay. It doesn't work like that. But something of the same light, because in the game they did it to a point where it was genuinely shocking. But I will say, I actually think that like this would have always been hard to transition into a live action format and make it scary because of how, let's be honest, like childish the costumes look. I thought the animatronics looked really good, and I liked the way they did them all practically, but they don't look scary, and it was going to be very fucking hard to make them look scary. like the games, and especially with the noises and stuff like that as well.
Sorry, so what is like when you play the game, what is the object? Like, do you
got to
fight
survive
these
the
things?
No, so you got to survive the night. You're Mike,
guard, right?
Yeah, you're the security guard. But like, so what happened? Like, because from my understanding, the animatronics are not trying to kill the security guard, right?
In the movie, they're not, but in their game, they are, right?
Oh, in the game, they are.
From what so basically, you have to. The whole point of the game is, again, someone correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, because it's been a fucking years, but it's 5 Nights at Freddy's. You have to survive the night. So you're in the. This is fucking annoying.
I was gonna say.
So you're in the you're in the office. You know, like where he's looking at the cameras and stuff. Yeah. You're watching the cameras. You know, you've got like an electricity meter which shows how much you're using, and if you use too much, the lights will go off, and if the lights go off, you'll look at the cameras. They're chasing you. They end up in front of you. So your whole objective is to be careful with electricity and survive the night and make sure you're watching each cameras, because if you watch them, they can't move. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And so what happens if you run up on one of these things? You got to fight it?
No, you can't. That's not the game. Like you're just on the you're there. You're at the office. You just have to survive.
It's like a strategy. From my understanding, I did a deep dive into it. It's like a strategy game, not like
it's not
game.
like a Last of Us. You know what I mean? Where you're like this narratively driven game. You're just at the office trying to survive using strategies. But it was genuinely scary because the jump scares really worked. But I think in a game, in a film like this, it's going to be really hard to transition that with the animatronics because they just don't look scary. They're not scary. I think the tie-ins were foreseeable, predictable, obvious, boring, and badly executed. I think they underutilized many of the characters as well, like Matthew Lillard's character. I just didn't care.
Yeah,
it really was.
Also, he was so was he so obvious for anyone else?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess if you played the game,
I had no.
I didn't play the game, but like I'm like that's.
I think anyone could like. I don't know, man. I think like it was so underutilized, and I also think I just didn't care about Josh Hutcherson or the whole
because he's a shit person. Story. I texted you guys this. He's not only the down on his luck guy, he's a bad person. He beats the shit out of some dude and for not saying like he had no reason to maybe assume that this child was getting taken, but that's the whole issue with like the problem people have with security guards and just police in general. I'm not getting into that by any means, but you can tackle him, whatever. You can't beat the fuck out of him in front of anyone. And then like, you need restraint. He's just a bad person.
Dream and sleep when he's supposed to be like watching.
He sleeps the entire episode or whatever.
I was like, his aunt like has a point to like take that kid away from him.
Yeah,
like kind of on her side. Like he's not fit to be. And then at the end, they're like, "Look how happy she is with you." I'm like, "Dude's a bad guardian."
Yeah,
I don't care how happy this kid is. He's not a good guardian.
No,
I think it like it was so tame with the kills. It was so tame, and I know what they're doing. It was I don't know the American like rating system. Was it a PG-13? Is that what it's called?
Yep.
What's it?
So I'm assuming you have to be 13. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it's going to be hard to play with, and I know why they did it. But I think like an R-rated cut of this, similar to like a Megan, for example, would have made things so much more compelling from that side.
It's the same shit as Megan. I'm with you there. Yeah. Just like it's not impossible to make an art or a horror movie be PG-13, but you have to use jump scares better, or you have to use looming presence of these creatures better. And if you're not going to use gore, like it's just you got to do other things better. And I don't think this.
I agree, and I think this as well. I don't know if you guys agree, but I just can't see a world where this could have been scary as a film. I don't know. I just can't see it. I think I can't take the.
Oh man, there's a bear with a hook for a hand, like at one.
Yeah, but that's not. But the presence of it, like the look of it, just isn't. Scary.
I never felt suspense.
If they're going to rely on one thing, at least provide some brutality with it. The subject matter is dark. Provides some. Although I will say, the like weird baby thing that they try and put her into, that's kind of creepy. That
that one was creepy. Maybe make that like an animatronic rather than these bears. And I get they can't. They can't.
They can't because it's a trilogy deal they signed and they're following the game's structure. So to be in
this
fairness,
is getting a trilogy. Like there's no stopping it. I mean, I know it made a shitload of money, so
And
they'll
there's
all,
3
like-
games. You said there's 3 different.
There's
games.
9 games.
No, there's more. I think I played the first 4, but there's a lot of like finalists with. We didn't see like, a tenth of the. Well, probably saw like a tenth and eighth of the animatronics available. There's so much more, which is why they didn't use them.
I was looking it up, and do you think they bring back Josh Hutcherson? Because like he's not in the other games, is he? I was looking it up, and like they use
Mike Schmidt, is he in other games?
Other games, right?
I have no idea what. I'm assuming no, because they kind of have to follow a pattern, I guess.
But then how do you get these characters to? How do you get me to give a shit about a character if we have a new main protagonist every episode or every?
You don't make
movie
more films and you play the game.
Yeah, that's fair. It just. I don't know. I feel like as a video game adaptation, maybe this worked well for fans of the game, but I feel like everything about it that like relates to a movie sucks.
This is the thing. I'm not good. Again, I was a casual player. I wasn't someone who was like really into it. Like many people on Twitter getting very, very defensive about it. Like I had a guy literally message me telling me to like kill myself or something, like because of my finest Freddy, which is fucking crazy when you think about it.
Insane.
And like I had comments on my review like, "Why'd you got to ruin the fun for everyone else?" Like, do you know what Letterboxd is? Yeah. And I'm just giving my opinion, but I will say
it wasn't fun.
Yeah,
it's just not fun.
I just like I don't, and again, casual fan, I don't see why the gaming fans would love this. Like, there's some Easter eggs, cool, but it doesn't even provide the experience of the game.
The biases we're just running crazy.
And if you liked it, cool, I get it. Because there was some moments I liked, and if you were a big fan, that you're gonna have spotted more than I have, and you're gonna know more than I have, 100%.
Yeah.
But I don't see this as
I have a lot more points. I'll be back though. Give me 1 second.
I don't see this as a film for the fans. I see this as a film that's gonna, they knew would make a fucking load of money because of the fan base it has. But again, I could be wrong. But 2-star from me anyway.
Too
high. It's been a long time since I've like wanted to like a movie so much because I genuinely like love the animatronics. I like the set design. Like it was fun when they were in cool. Freddy's Pizzeria. So I really wanted to like it. And I was hoping like, oh, everyone's low on it. Maybe I'll at least get something out of it to like enjoy it a bit. And I didn't completely hate it. Like I'm definitely not as low as George, but I think it's surprising to have like this massive of a horror like franchise is going to become, and the games are so popular. And they had Emma Tammy direct it, who's directed 5 other movies that total have 20,000 logs of all her movies before ever on Letterboxd, of 20,000 total logs. So like to give her the keys to this massive movie that is going to be making $500 million plus be a massive streaming success, like it seems odd that they choose her. Yeah, and like you're saying, like it's not brutal like Megan, and it should have been. It's like just my problem I have with Blum. Like I've just become a Blumhouse hater because I feel like recently the last couple of years they've just become a meme studio when they used to be so. They used to make like Get Out. They used to make all like the best like horror thrillers, but like it started like last year they had like They Them, and then
Halloween
they have
Megan,
Halloween. Like I feel like they're just becoming like purely all they're going for is IP and memes just to make money, but they aren't making consistent good films. They're making consistent bad films, much less. Like this year's just been like a horrible year in terms of like actual good movies.
Because they're making. I think Exorcist might have done really badly. Did Exorcist do bad?
I think that's the only one that didn't make money, but like Insidious the Red Door did very well. Megan obviously did insanely well in Five Nights at Freddy's.
The marketing is insane, but the films are shit.
I have a question about that because they're all making great money. I get superhero fatigue. I understand. When are we getting shit horror movie fatigue? I'm fatigued by it.
Shit, horror films have always been shit.
I know. That's what people love.
No, but horror films have always been shit. There used to be like more good ones, so it was like you balance it out. But like horror films have always been the shittest genre, in my opinion. There's so many shit.
It's fair. I need as a superhero fan, I need someone to start some shit horror movie fatigue because
I have Blumhouse fatigue at least. I feel like every time they crap out,
because with horrors,
they have great ones.
With horrors, you don't have to watch them. So if you're like an MCU or a DC fan, you're gonna want to watch all the projects, and you get tired of it. With a horror, everything's different. Do you know what I mean? So you don't have to watch the releases.
Yeah,
that's why it'll never come up because they know if they produce.
You're right.
With IP, they'll just make like so much money. It's crazy.
I also want to note, George, I asked this after first watch and then figured it out. They are there 5 nights. He's there 5 nights.
That was
Josh
one thing I
Hutcherson.
didn't even like think to like.
Yeah, I didn't think about it.
I didn't even
after.
think to like keep track of that.
Yeah, he was at Freddy's for 5 nights.
Okay.
As the title suggests.
This movie is the perfect I should have taken notes while watching movie. This movie is the perfect for that because it's just shit and a whole lot of things are stupid about it. The first thing that Emma said after watching was like, wow, that was really bad. And she loves a shit movie, everyone. She loves an hour 45 movie that you just don't have to pay attention to. And
her favorite horror film, I remember. What was it called again? Case 39, was it?
I forget. Yeah, it might have been. I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember now. But like, she loves that kind of shit, and she loved the Meg too. Like, just absolutely adored it. Hated this because it's bad and it's not scary. And Josh Hutcherson, not a great actor. Lost it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He looked like a pretty
Bridge to
handsome
Terabithia.
dude, though. In this.
Never had it. Never had it.
I don't think. I mean, like, he's not
What was he
horrible
been
in the
in?
Hunger Games.
He did.
Right?
He did
Bridge
his
to
job.
Terabithia?
Yeah, in like his teen.
He was
heart
actually
throb
not good
era.
in Bridge to Terabithia, though. Like,
I can't say I
rewatched
watched
that
Bridge
recently.
to Terabithia after it ruined my life as a kid. Like, that
not
movie fucked me up,
Yeah,
man.
sure.
I think
That's
everyone had the same experience with it.
Everyone had the sense.
Yeah,
That's
I also
fair.
think Matthew Lillard's like not a good actor either.
No.
Like,
Bro,
He's shaggy, man.
I love Matthew Lillard purely because
Dude.
I really like the Scooby-Doo films, but he is like
Also,
people
for
love
Matthew
love him.
Lillard, every single Letterboxd review I saw basically said Matthew Lillard carried.
it's because he's so likable and people have these memories with him. Like
Dude, he
Scooby
had
Shaggy.
6 minutes of screen
No,
time.
I
Yeah.
agree with you, but it's just because he's that like likable figure that everyone just loves. I mean, I loved him, but he's not great. Like, he's just not.
He just like he was good, he was fine for the movie, but like he just wasn't in the movie, and I was stunned because everyone literally kept. I mean, I guess that's just how bad the movie is when someone who has less than like 5 minutes of screen time is the best part.
Yeah,
But,
like,
like-
he's at the start and then he's nowhere to be found, and then he
Until- yeah.
comes in at the end as the big yellow
people-
bear or whatever.
Have you seen like on Twitter? People love Matthew Lillard.
I
Like,
know
he's
people
so,
do.
like-
From
So it's-
people want him back in Scream so bad. Like, that was the big theory for Scream, right? I never
Well,
saw
it was.
the new
He
one.
was
he
like
back?
the masked killer in this.
right. I think that's more because like how crazy of a twist that'd be rather than like how much. I mean, they also love Matthew Lillard.
I think
but for Scream, I think it's like a lot about like how crazy
fair.
that twist would be if you
Well,
survived. But, yeah.
one thing about this movie that like kind of made me feel like a little stupid when the big yellow rabbit came out. He was like talking normally, and I was like, "Damn, this motherfucker evolved like crazy." I really had no idea that there was like an actual.
He wasn't in the
dude.
movie for 12 hours.
Yeah,
Like,
I like really had zero clue that there was an actual dude in that movie. In that, I didn't even suspect that because of how little screen time he had. And then like he took off his mask, and I was like, "Oh, I'm so dumb."
Did you not get
And,
like,
like,
with the conversation he was having on the phone at the start? Like he looked.
No,
like,
I just
that
thought
guy.
he was a weird dude who like knew about Freddy's, but like
Who
didn't-
else would it have been though? Do you know when you think
yeah.
about it? Like,
Yeah.
who
but
else
also,
could it
like,
have been?
took
I think it would have been funnier if it was the ant. That would have been fucking hilarious.
that would have been pretty funny. He took Josh Hutchinson's kid or brother from fucking nowhere. Like, the other 4 were related to by Freddy's. The kid in the woods was nothing. He's just stealing kids at that point. Like, this guy's fucked. And they didn't do anything. They didn't say anything about how fucked up this is, that he's stealing and killing kids and putting them in animatronics.
What
Like,
did you
and
guys
then-
think of
why
these
did
dream
kill that
scenes?
kid?
But then
What
it
did you
was
guys think
it
of
was
the
also
dream
so hard to like be on Vanessa's side at the end of the movie when
Yeah,
like
what
she.
was she? I get it.
I'm like
you-
cool. Like you tried to take down your dad this time. What were you doing the last
Yeah.
20
The
years?
5 other kids.
Like yeah, there
what
were
the fuck?
5 other. You're staring at them every single day.
yeah,
I'm
and
like
hanging out with them. Hanging out- She like knew.
What
about
did you
it, right?
What did you guys think of the dream sequences? I really just hated those
Yeah,
sequences.
they
Dude,
were just-
I was
not
like,
really
I
just
get it. It's
great.
gonna traumatize him for life, but every time you go back, I was like, get over it already. God, like you're not gonna find anything
know
new.
what?
You've been doing this for years.
You know what has better dreams? Midnight Mass has dreams, not dream sequences, but has like a looming like someone does something in the past. I won't spoil it, Seth, if you're going to watch it, and it haunts him forever. That has 15 times better.
Dude, I think a lot of things have better.
Probably.
Like,
also, all-time horror trope, and this one it makes sense because it's all through cameras. All-time horror trope is when someone's watching a camera and the villain's like sitting there, and then they look at the camera. All time, incredible, never misses. I'll say that.
But yeah, like to Seth's point, like, every time he like got back in those woods and like woke up and like was in there and just trying to relive those dreams, I just like rolled my eyes every time. Like, again, man, like it's just getting so old at this point. But the thing is, like kind of Seth was mentioning in his review, like it wasn't brutal enough to be like a scary movie. So like when you're not going to be brutal enough, you have to be suspenseful. But I was never scared. I was never even close on the edge of my seat or feeling any suspense. So it's like, what are they doing here? Like, there's nothing remotely scary about this. And I'm not, obviously, you guys know I'm the furthest thing from being like a tough horror guy where I'm like, oh, I'm too good. Like, there's just nothing here, like at all that was like scary whatsoever. And like, even the couple like cheap jump scares they had. Well, one of them was like in the trailer that I saw over and over. It's like the hand coming out of the mouth. I was like, okay, I know that's going to happen. And then all the other jump scares were like, like most bad jump scares are obvious where they like zoom in on something and the music will go quiet. You're like, oh, it's obviously gonna be a jump scare here. But this one was like 10 times longer than that. Like every time a jump scare would come, it's like, oh, it's for like 25 seconds straight. Just slowly zoom in on this one corner with no music. And something pops out. I'm like, oh, it's a freaking shocker. But it's just like Matthew Lillard was so obviously sketchy from the beginning. The security guard was obviously, or the police officer was so obviously sketchy from the beginning. Like you knew from the beginning, you're like, you'd obviously know some shit. And you're just like acting like you're just a normal cop. Like there's just nothing here for me. And ultimately the movie ended. I was like, that was just super lame. And I was just wishing it would be better. I found this movie, like, I don't know, like half the time I just found it to be just like confusing, but not because they like made a good plot, just because I don't know. I feel like this movie either needed to be longer, needed to focus on different things,
or just needed to not exist.
Or just needed to like just leave the game.
Scarier, maybe.
But like the thing is, I like the set design and the idea and the world enough to where like I'm excited to see like this. Not excited to see sequels, but I'll watch them and I'm like kind of like intrigued by it.
I just don't know if it could translate. And also, what is it with Blumhouse writing the like cringiest fucking villainous characters? Like in Halloween Ends, we had the bullies who were just like weirdos. In this, we had the robbers who were just like this old man screaming and stuff like that. And the guy, when they're in the cafe or like like a diner, and they're like across from each other. And the guy in his like friend or whatever who was like the babysitter. It's so cringe, those scenes. Man.
This is worse than Halloween Ends.
It's not.
Yeah,
the line.
Yes,
Cameron. Wait, the film or the line?
Halloween Ends is kill the kid and too pussy to buy us some beers, and this is worse than that.
That is
that line trumps the whole film. That line is.
I have that at a 24 out of 100, and this at a 16. So it's like they're both 1 stars, but this is worse than Halloween Ends.
They're both
fair.
Bad.
That's fair.
I mean, at least Halloween Ends has Michael Myers.
At least Halloween Ends.
And Halloween Ends has the the banger. At the very least, it has that.
Halloween Ends also has that first death of that kid that like actually is crazy.
At least Halloween Ends actually like tried something new. They actually like. I hated it. But they tried to step out the zone a little bit. With this, they're just so.
I want to say the song that the animatronics were singing kind of banged. I don't know what it was, and I don't know if it's from the game, but it kind of banged. I looked up a bunch of lore after this movie, and it didn't make it any better, in my opinion. Like I learned a lot about the FNAF.
I just don't think it transitions into a live action film. Like I don't think any of the films will be good. I just don't.
I'm with you.
Anyone else got anything else to say on FNAF?
No.
But the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes is really high.
Oh, yeah.
That was really good.
Yeah, it's one of
that's like purposely why I did. So when I tweeted like saying like how like much Blumhouse sucks in 2023, like yesterday, I was gonna do Rotten Tomatoes at first, and I went over to Letterboxd instead because Megan has like a 96 from critics on Rotten Tomatoes. Like, what the hell?
That's insane.
Like, I just walked out of that movie so bored. Like,
I am the most like pro if it's fun. Enjoy it, great.
You're a Marvel fan. You have to.
I hate that. This wasn't fun. I don't get it, man. It just sucked. It sucked.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, let's kind of continue on with our horror. Well, I guess what's our review? So I gave it a 1.5 star. Seth 2 star. George half star.
I think both ones.
One. I gave it a 1 for the
16 out of
animatronics.
101. Yeah, shout out the animatronics because they were
They do
cool.
look good.
They
I like how
and
they did them practical.
use
you know, I
more
really like
practical effects.
Yeah.
I'm glad it made money for that purpose. I'm glad they weren't CGI.
lot of
And
effort.
that gives you enough to get you a 1 star.
Yeah,
Good
fair
for
enough,
you.
Fair enough.
Now make a good movie with them.
Mm-hmm.
Stop it.
But yeah, with how much money it's made, I'd imagine obviously like the sequel. I bet we'll see it like next year. Honestly, at this rate, like with how much money it made, like Blumhouse is just gonna full steam ahead.
You can dump that shit out like crazy, man.
But yeah, what was that horror franchise that just got A24 was gonna get? Was that the
Black
Friday the
Phone.
13th franchise? No, the one that
Halloween.
A24 lost the bidding war.
Halloween.
It was Halloween. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, at least Blumhouse didn't get it again. Like that would have just if they just continue. I don't know. All they do is just ruin IP. And
A random Samaritan
horror
who
movies.
wasn't gonna touch it should have just bidded for it.
Yeah.
I'm the biggest fan of it ever.
Yeah.
Let's jump into just kind of talking about our favorite horror movies of all time. So Cam obviously has been gone for the month, but we've had episodes talking about our favorite sci-fi horrors of all time, our favorite horrors from each decade, our favorite.
Wait, before we jump into that, can Seth and I just talk about When Evil Lurks real quick?
Oh yeah.
Just for like literally just like 10 minutes. Just
go for it.
We don't
make a list.
Yeah, that's so. When Evil Lurks I don't even know when it came out. I know it like
came out. So it premiered at a film festival at the end of October.
Okay.
It came out. It got a very limited North American theater release on the 7th of this month.
Okay.
And then it released on the 27th on Shudder. So it's been out for a couple of days.
Yeah, it's on Shudder here. I don't know when exactly it released. In a remote village, 2 brothers find a demonic infected man just about to give birth to evil itself. They decide to get rid of the man, but merely succeed in helping him to deliver the inferno. Seth, you basically texted me while you were watching the movie, please watch this movie. And I did last night. You could start with your thoughts. Crazy fucking movie.
Yeah, man. So the director of this, I'm gonna find his name, Damien Rugner. Yeah, fuck knows. He actually made a horror that was, I think it was on Shudder as well, or Prime, and it was a few years ago, called Terrified. George, I probably watched that as well if I were you. Actually, it's quite. Okay. I actually found it quite scary. It wasn't a great film, to be honest, but in terms of scary, pretty good. And so I kind of knew this would be weird because that one's also very much practical effects heavy, weird, like strange stuff. But this one I really enjoyed. So When Evil Lurks is actually now my number 1 of the year in terms of horror, probably in my top 10 of the year films in general as well. I think I said in my review, just like a horrible mix of like despair, agony, and pure emotion from like a parenthood and a motherhood standpoint, just mixed with some of the most violent, disgusting sequences ever. And I think it really like relies on its grossness, on its meanness, on its practical effects. And I think I said this as well. It's a film that kind of never lost me, but also at points made me want to kind of look away, especially with the fucking blob man at the start. George, you know what I'm referring to? Like the big man made of pus. Like what the fuck? And yeah, it just very bleak, very disturbing, but also like, let's be honest, really fun. And just a great time, just an original piece of horror that really does well with its elements of just grotesqueness that I really, really enjoyed. So it was a 4-star from me. Very, very weird, and yeah, in my top 10 of the year so far, probably. I haven't done my like list yet, but I assume it will be around there anyway.
Yeah, this for me is just inside my top 20 of the year, so it's still a really good movie. Pretty much everything you say, I echo. It's very original. It's very haunting and creepy. The gore and the brutality are very few and far between, but they are so effective that it
spreads them apart really well.
Yeah, it's like I'm gonna jump into spoilers just because I want to mention like one thing. So like thank you, Tyler. The first like scene where the woman does the murder suicide with the axe. That was like, it was one of those like scenes that I was watching and like my jaw was on the floor.
I didn't expect that.
I didn't expect that at all. I didn't expect it at all.
Because he's holding out to the goat, isn't he?
Yeah,
and the goat.
And she was like, "Don't shoot it. Don't use the gun." And like, but what I liked about like her like taking an axe to his head and her head, that made me understand like the gravity of this situation, which made
the demonic
it made the
yeah.
film feel so much more like urgent, which I really enjoyed. Which, and again, all of like the brutality, they're very spread apart. In between is just relentless anxiety. Like the movie doesn't like. The movie literally slows down. I wouldn't call this like a fast-paced movie, but like the anxiety of the situation just never like stops. It never ceases to exist, which is something that I thought was just brilliant in terms of like the way this movie was shot and made. It was just an onslaught of anxiety, and then just as you're like coming down from your anxiety, they'll hit you with like a crazy scene. Dude, the scene where the dog took that girl and just I was like, holy
grabs her head and
just grabs her.
Crazy,
absolutely nuts. And then oh my god, the one scene where I like actually had to like not look away, but like I kind of like put my hands over my eyes was when the brother was driving and he drives past the dead mother and and she's holding her dead son just eating from his head. And her face is fucked because she got smacked by a car. Oh my god, the movie, it was like I said this about Talk to Me, like every so often a horror movie will just come and just like, you know, like really like feed my craving of just like an original horror movie, and like this movie did exactly that, which for me I have it third for my horror ranking. I still have Talk to Me at number 1, and then I have Evil Dead Rise, and then When Evil Lurks. But the second two, all three of them are very interchangeable. I think they're all fantastic in their own right. But like if again, a big way I just rank films is just how likely I am to rewatch it. But I think this is the best looking horror movie of the year. There's just like some beautiful landscape shots that I really enjoyed. That's really, we don't have to go into like crazy spoilers. I just want to get like my immediate thoughts out if there's anything else you want to touch on.
It's just like the perfect mix between like from a gore standpoint, you know, it's not like an Evil Dead Rise where it's just throwing things at you, but when it comes, it really delivers in like this just disgusting, disturbing way, but like in a not realistic tone, but like a tone that really gets you, I think is the main thing. But then also from a narrative standpoint as well, just like the long like rural landscape, the demonic possession, the anxiety feel introduced to each character really works. I definitely recommend it. It's really, really good. It's available on Shudder now. Obviously, you can get it through Prime. Also, the poster's really fucking cool, George. Have you seen the poster? The red and black? I really like it.
Yeah, poster's cool. I saw the one of the alternate posters on Letterboxd is a dog, and I was like, damn, bro, if there's an unnecessary dog kill.
I was worried about that when the dog happened.
Super necessary kill.
Super necessary kill.
Like as necessary as a dog kill as I've ever seen in my entire life.
He had this little girl's head like straight in the mouth and just dragged her out.
Yanking her around.
Child, that is some crazy imagery right there as well.
One thing I want to just like touch on, one part of the movie that I really, really loved, and it was like the big climactic scene, and I love that they didn't overplay like the scary nature of it. Like when that demon baby is born, or like demon child, I love that he literally just walks out into a field. Like that made me so uncomfortable. And like he touches the guy's head, puts the blood on it, he's like taunting him, and I was like, dude, like this is like, it's not scary, it's just like, it's just so fucking creepy. And it's like, it's so, because they could have easily just given us like the craziest like gory, disturbing imagery, but they just were like, you know what, let's just keep it reserved. Like this is what the movie's about. It's about this demon baby and like all of the like demonic possession. Just make the motherfucker walk out into the field covered in blood and followed by children, and it's scary.
Yeah. I will say last piece of advice for anyone listening. I was eating at the start of this film. And bro, that fucking like big puss man.
Gross.
It's disgusting.
But
like,
I did chuckle when they tried to move him and dropped him on the floor.
Do you know, like, I remember, you know, Evil Dead, the first one.
Yeah.
You know, at the end where there's like they're everything just like blown up, and it looks like horror, like mac and cheese all over the floor. that like the reaction, the physical reaction I have from that whenever I watch like the disgust is what I had from
it's so
the
gross.
first 10 minutes of that film last night.
So gross, but it's so good.
If you're a horror fan, definitely watch it because we
Yeah.
both agree it's one of the better horror films of the year so far, and for me, probably the best as well. But really, really good.
Same for me. Not the best, top 3 of the year. Really, really good. Definitely gonna satisfy if you're looking for that original horror movie. I go 3.5. You said what would you 4?
4, yeah.
Yeah, 4. Watch it. That wraps us up, Tyler.
Wraps us up.
All right, so let's talk our overall favorite horror movies of all time. We did this last year for the Halloween special. It'll be interesting to see how our top 10 has changed since last year. Not much for you guys. It's changed a decent amount for me since I haven't watched much last year. But throughout October, we've been doing like our favorite horrors in each like subgenre and each decade and stuff. So now, since it's our Halloween special, final Halloween episode of the year, let's go over just like our favorite just horrors of all time in general. So like, get your rankings, your lists ready of your top 10.
I don't have a ranking. I just kind of have like a list of.
I've got a 10.
Okay. I don't know if mine is the same as last year because
mine's definitely not.
Mine's definitely not.
Well, I'm
There's
interested
actually a couple of
to see
changes
if
in mine.
mine is, but we'll see.
Oh, now I kind of want to rank these, but
There's
I don't
a couple
wanna take,
changes in mine.
So
you can go last, George, if you just want to zone in on
yeah.
You want me to go first? I've got mine.
I'm gonna go last.
Yeah, Seth, you go for it.
Quick.
So again, this is like kind of no order. I'll go through the ones that have stayed. I think from last year. I'm sure George will share these as well. The Shining, Alien, The Thing. They're the top 3. They've probably been my top 3 since I was like 15, 16 years old. Like they've been my top 3 for such a long period of time, so they've stayed. I think Texas Chainsaw Massacre's also stayed. I think I can't remember because the weird one is like Get Out and Silence of the Lambs. I don't directly consider horror myself. If I did, they would be in my 10. So that wouldn't change. But like they're kind of weird ones. I just more see them as like thrillers, I guess. New ones that have been added probably in my 10 are Titan, which obviously I love from 2021. I think Hereditary is still in there. That was obviously same for last year. The Bride of Frankenstein, one of my favorite sequels of all time, my favorite monster film ever. I think Suspiria was in it last year, but it might not have been. That's definitely around the 10 as well. The X is Dawn of the Dead. That's a new one because I rewatched that recently. Although that was around like 10, 15 anyway. In the Mouth of Madness is probably floating around the 10 to 15 area. And then probably like, Dark Water. Dark Water is definitely a new one. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I think I mentioned, has always been there. And that's about it. I would say the ones that have stayed are definitely Shining, Alien, The Thing, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Hereditary, and The Exorcist, and then the others are new. But yeah, there's been a few changes to be fair, but most of like the main ones have stayed. But there's been a few ads like Titan, Suspiria, Dark Water, and Dawn of the Dead.
Okay, that changed more than you were leading on at first.
It did actually. Like when I'm looking at it, I think there's probably about. I know I said like 12 then. If I was to say the 10, I think 6 of them have stayed the same, and then there's been four new ones in the top 10. So it's actually changed like a decent amount, nearly 50%.
Cam, do you have your list ready?
Yeah, I had like mine as top 10. Did we count Alien as horror?
Yeah. I have it listed as sci-fi mainly, but yeah, it's definitely like a horror.
I have it listed as. That's why I don't have like Jaws. I don't have Jaws on my list, but
I don't have Jaws on my list either. Yeah.
I don't. I think Alien is more horror than it. All right, but my list is fucking dumb, but I don't know. I like these movies. Let me just note, Crawl is my 14th. So George, shout out Crawl, right? But we'll go 10, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Don't lump me into that.
Yeah, come on.
I didn't know you were a Nightmare on Elm Street guy. I didn't even know you'd seen
you watched it. Yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street's good. Watch it with Emma. 9, A Quiet Place. 8, Halloween. 7, Midsommar, my favorite Ari Aster. What I believe to be the best, but who cares? 6, Shaun of the Dead. A little horror.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I mean, Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah, I count it. If we're counting Alien and stuff, I'm counting that.
If I was counting horror comedies, obviously Shaun of the Dead would be mine as well.
Yeah. 5, Psycho. 4, Alien. 3, 3, Train to Busan. I think that's fucking great. I think if you haven't seen it, you should watch it. 2, The Shining, and then 1 is Get Out. Last year, The Shining was probably my number 1. I think Get Out's incredible. I just flipped them right now because
I think it's going to be interesting this horror list because like Cam mentioned like 3 or 4 there. I probably would have in mind. I just like don't see as horror myself, like a Train to Busan, like a Get Out, for example.
Mm.
It's like Shaun of the Dead's a weird one because I never think. I mean, it is. It's horror comedy.
Yeah, it's like I don't know if it's on there or not.
That's definitely horror comedy.
No,
yeah, but like,
I just don't think of horror comedies. Like, it's not like
that's
or
fair,
like okay, Psycho. I think is a big one. I would be in my top 10, but I've always seen Psycho as a thriller.
It's a thriller. I agree. It's horror's an odd genre.
Letterboxd is kind of like
people try to blend it like with it. If I like made a pure horrors list, this would have been completely different. Watcher was my 11, Hereditary 12, Nope 13, Crawl 14, and then The Invisible Man is 15. So like
the original Invisible Man.
No. The new one. I like the new one a lot. That was like the first movie to break the like streaming.
The new one has, I think, one of like the most jaw-dropping moments in horror. That I've seen.
I think I know what you're talking about. I can't remember
the restaurant knife scene.
Yep, that's insane.
That like literally when I watched that, I was like, "Yo, that was."
I liked it a lot,
crazy.
but I don't know. I don't hold and like I just watched The Thing. I wouldn't like put that's still lower, and I'm okay with that. And just like I haven't seen a ton of horror in general, but everything I watch I don't like a whole lot compared to these, so I'm okay with my list. I just think if like someone saw this as a top 10 horror, they'd be like, "You're a fucking idiot,
George. You need to stop tweeting about how bad Five
yeah, dude. George
like,
tweeted
again.
again.
No, this is
again.
I'm sorry.
My list. So again, similar to Seth, there's a couple like that would be in my top 10 that I'm leaving off because I don't like consider it like a pure horror. But if you do, I can see why. Number 10. Wait, let me make sure I got this right. Yeah, number 10, Midsummer, Ari Aster. We obviously had our big Ari Aster, Robert Eggers, Jordan Peele episode 2 weeks ago. Number 9, Cloverfield. We reviewed that on Real Quick 2 weeks ago as well. Number 8, Hereditary, also Ari Aster from our episode 2 weeks ago. So I'm really just
Cloverfield, Tyler. I don't know if I saw you rate.
8.4. 8.4.
Oh yeah, you did really like it, didn't you? Shit.
Yeah. And then Hereditary's at the the 8 spot.
Yep.
And then we got The Black Phone. Excited for the sequel. I think there's some lore you can go into there. I was a big fan of that. Excited to see. Well, I don't know if Ethan Hawke will return. I feel like he's gonna return because the fact that they announced a Black Phone 2 plus like his Halloween costume was the Black Phone guy, the grabber. I feel like he probably didn't coincidentally do that. And then we got Scream 4. Like I said, I guess technically, so I have it tied for Scream in terms of my actual rating, and I guess I give the tiebreaker to the original Scream, probably just mainly just the nod to that being the first one. But in terms of pure enjoyability, Scream 4 is my favorite Scream. So that's at the whatever that is, the 6.
6.
Yeah, and then number 5, 28 Days Later from Real Quick, like 2 weeks ago as well. So I'm just really being the big promo guy for the Real Talk podcast. And then, like I just mentioned, then we got Scream at the 4. Then we got Rosemary's Baby at the 3. Roman Polanski, sucky dude, but makes good movies. Get Out in the 2. Again, if you want to call it a thriller, sure, but Get Out's in the 2 for me. And then same with number 1, Psycho. Honestly, like weirdly enough, I consider Psycho more of a horror than Get Out because like you kind of have to factor in like the time period it came out, and like
I agree.
That was like the most terrifying movie of all time when it came out.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, Psycho's number 1 for me. Big fan of the Norman Bates universe. Obviously, I've seen all the Psychos, seen the reboot, but I even enjoyed Bates Motel. Like I binged that while I was in college too. Like anything in the Psycho universe, big fan of.
I never watched that. I probably should.
There's like 5-ish seasons.
Isn't he got the Freddy thingy, the good doctor in it? Isn't he the?
Yeah, but that's like the perfect kind of role for a weird, creepy guy. Like, but Vera Farmiga is the mom, and she's like incredible in it. Yeah, she's so good in it.
Yeah, she's great.
And like the final season is when things really, obviously, like as everyone knows from what happens in Psycho, that's when like the things of what Psycho happens in that movie, and that's when it really starts to get really freaking good. But George, have we given you enough time?
Yeah, I'm good. Cool. I am good now. I had a list of like just 20 horror movies, so it wasn't that hard actually to like just put it into a top 10. So honorable mentions, because I want to shout them out: Scream, I love; Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Jeepers Creepers, Cure, and Annihilation, which is more science fiction, but I still have it in the horror space. My number 10, Blair Witch Project, second favorite found footage film of all time. Just absolutely fucking love it. My number 9 is Kiyoshi Kurosawa's Pulse, which I just think is one of the most frightening and psychologically torturous movies out there. My number 8 is my favorite found footage film is Cloverfield. We did a deep dive on that a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah, love Cloverfield a lot. I have It Follows at number 7, which I know is a pretty polarizing movie. It's a bit slower, but I love that Hitchcockian kind of aesthetic to it. It's really fucking haunting, I guess. My number 6 horror comedy, Ready or Not. Absolutely fucking love Ready or Not. I just watched it with Victoria like 2 nights ago, and I just still find myself loving this movie every single time I watch it. Into the top 5. At number 5, I have Malignant. Just love it. It is so quirky. It is so campy, but it just plays into it entirely. It is so unapologetically like stupid, and I just love that. My number 4, another movie reviewed. Tyler and I reviewed this a couple weeks ago, The Descent. Absolutely love The Descent, and I was really happy that Tyler also liked it. Number 3 is The Shining. I consider The Shining the greatest horror movie of all time, but in terms of my favorites, I have it at number 3. Number 2, I guess the best modern horror movie I like. Well, not the best, because I think Get Out might be a slightly better movie, but I do like Hereditary more. So Hereditary is my number 2. And at number 1, I have The Thing is my favorite horror movie.
I'm surprised you don't have Alien on there.
I like it. I don't find myself rewatching Alien as much as I think. I think it's great. I think Alien and Aliens are 2 of the greatest movies ever made. But again, when I talk about like my favorites, I really incorporate, rewatch value. And these 10 horror movies, I think, are the ones that I just find myself rewatching the most, even throughout the year. Like I love Get Out, but I really don't watch it outside of horror season. Whereas like Malignant, It Follows, The Thing, I'll watch these in like August if I want.
I have a question for you, George. Yeah. And Tyler and Cam. What do you think is your number 1 most rewatched horror ever? Let's guess, obviously.
Get Out is probably the only one I go back to.
Fair enough. I've watched Get Out more than enough times.
I think my answer is Ready or Not. Because when Ready or Not came out, I think I watched that movie like 10 times.
If you give me 20 guesses, I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah, it's just like it's one of the like if you like take out that piece of me just incessantly rewatching this movie, I think my most rewatched is probably The Shining, or maybe Cloverfield. But because of that, because like when Ready or Not released, I fell in love with it so quickly, and I watched it like every day for like a week straight, sometimes 2 times a day. Jesus and Christ. Just like because of that, I think it's probably my most rewatched horror movie.
Fair.
It is so
Seth, is yours The Shining?
Alien.
I'd probably say mine. Well, it's Shaun of the Dead, 100%.
Shaun of the Dead. Right,
I'd probably say if we're not including that, I'd probably be Alien or The Shining. One of the 2. I've watched them both like probably 30 times each.
Okay.
Mine's Scream 4, but I don't rewatch a ton of horror movies, so
one that
crazy.
Emma and we go back to The Conjuring every once in a while. I do like the first 2.
The Conjuring's probably the first one's probably high for me as well. Actually, I watched that.
Yeah, I don't rate them like as highly to make this. I have 4 out of 5, so highly, but not as high as these on the list. But we go back to that every once in a while, maybe once a year kind of thing.
Like The Conjuring 2, Cam?
I like I think The Conjuring 2 is like one of the scariest movies ever because The Nun. So like I'm just terrified of her to an extent that is probably not healthy. So yeah, I would say I like The Conjuring 2.
Interesting.
But The Nun movie's not great. I never saw The Nun 2. Did we talk that? That was
have any of us seen that yet? George, did you watch that? Okay.
No,
okay,
I don't.
There
are certain movies from this year I just don't plan on seeing. The Nun 2, Renfield, never going to watch.
Don't bother it, shit.
Exorcist Believer, The Meg 2, not
most
happening.
of these like average streaming releases, like Prime releases.
Like, dude, I swear to God, HBO Max. I'm sorry, we're getting a little off topic. HBO Max or Max now is trying to shove The Meg 2 down my phone.
It's always on the front page.
It is for the last like 2 months. It's been the front fucking page. And then when you go to like the movies tab, it is like, I swear it's always number 1 on like top 10 most streamed movies. I was like, there's no way. There's no way this many people are watching The Meg 2.
You need to watch it. It's your sign. To watch it.
The final thing we'll talk about for the Halloween portion of this episode, which also means the last Halloween topic of the year, is Halloween. So the Skate podcast had, I mean, they have many viral clips. One of their clips they had recently was the like best horror franchise of all time. One of them said Saw. What did the other guy say? The Conjuring universe.
Yeah.
So in spirit of that, we're gonna rank our top 10 greatest horror franchises, or top 5 greatest horror franchises of all time. Top 5, because I only have 4. I'm gonna do a random one for 5 because you have to give me one, because I literally have only 4 I've ever seen. Seen all of like Halloween. I can't rank.
No. I was thinking that too, because I'm pretty sure Jordan Peele has said that all of his films are in the same universe.
No, we're not. No.
So I actually did have like my top 5 out, and I was like, in my top 5 it said the Peele verse. But then I was like, I mean, yeah, like Ari Aster could randomly come out and say that all of his movies are in the same universe. Like there's nothing that like truly separates them. So
Eggers could say that too. It's just they all take place hundreds of years before or after each other.
Like, no, bro, don't do that.
So yeah, top 5 horror franchises of all time.
Yeah, I've got it.
Do we? Let me know when y'all are prepped. So
we're doing like 5 and then
we'll do that. So I'll start with number 5 because I've only seen.
I would count Alien Come. I think
again, I've only seen 2 of them, so I feel like I can't properly rank them.
They're all great.
I don't know. So number 5, you're just gonna have to give me, because I've it's the only other franchise I've seen all of. So like I'm not gonna rank a franchise if I haven't seen all the horror movies.
I'm ranking a lot of franchises that I have not seen all of them. I'll be honest with you.
Well, at least like the majority, like the Alien franchise. There's like 6 movies now. I've only seen 2 of them. Feel like I can't really properly like include that. Halloween franchise, there's like 10 of them. I've seen 1. Can't really include the Halloween franchise. So number 5, we're going to X franchise. There's only 2 movies. There's gonna be a third one.
Fair. I like it.
It's a trilogy, but whatever.
I was gonna say, like, I know you're like slightly joking because you haven't seen that many horror movie franchises, but if Maxine is as good as Pearl and X, like, I don't think a top 5 spot.
I'm more just joking, mainly because like I don't. It's like a trilogy. It's not really a franchise.
I know, but that's fair. But like, still, I don't like. Truly, if Maxine is as good as X and Pearl have been,
then it would be like average.
Oh, relax.
I got you for a split second.
Relax.
Actually, X is pretty good.
Facts.
So the X verse, the XXX verse. We'll just kind of loop around the Cam. So Cam, what's your okay, never mind. George, 5th, number 5.
My 5
clockwise.
Maybe in terms of quality, it shouldn't be top 5, but I think its level of iconic and influence, I think it deserves a top 5 spot, and that's Halloween. Obviously, I think there have been a fair share of Halloween stinkers, particularly the most recent 2. But again, like Michael Myers is the most recognizable name in horror. Haddonfield is the most recognizable town in probably any movie ever. So I just think because of like how iconic and just how widespread the influence of Halloween is, I think it deserves that top 5 spot.
That's fair.
Valid. Seth, number 5.
5's tricky. I think I'm gonna be like, I just said that I don't consider this a horror film, but I'm really struggling for 5 because a lot of them, like Insidious and Conjuring, I only really like the first film. I'm gonna say the Hannibal Lecter franchise. I don't know, it's tricky. I actually haven't seen Manhunter, so I'm like not even seeing all the films. I've seen 3. I've seen the trilogy. I think the last 2 were good, not great. I think Hannibal was pretty great actually. Well, good, but I think Silence of the Lambs is really the powerhouse. So I'll say the Hannibal Lecter franchise for number 5.
Cam,
that's sorry.
Yeah, so Tyler, I'm like right there with you, and like I just haven't completed these horror franchises because they suck. They like they suck. They just do. Like 90% of horror movies after the first one, you get an iconic character and then the rest suck. So this one, I'm just going strictly based off like iconicness, and I'm going with the Nightmare on Elm Street, I guess, because I feel like that's one of the most iconic horror. Like Freddy Krueger, he's iconic. I feel like
I've only seen the first one, to be fair.
I've only seen the first one, so I'm not I am not.
Well, George can speak on it. He's just been going through the films.
The first one is great. It's in my top 50. It's very low to the bottom, but 2 and 3 and 4, not good. The remake from 2011, not good.
Yeah.
Is Freddy vs. Jason good at all?
I have not seen Freddy vs. Jason.
I actually have seen that.
I had zero intention of going through the Nightmare on Elm Street one, but I logged the first one, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, the second is so much better." So I watched the second, and then everyone saw my bad review of the second. They're like, "Bro, just get to the third. It's the best one."
How many are there? Is there
There's
8?
7 or 8 maybe.
Oh shit! Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see if I keep going.
Yeah.
In the 4 spot for me is the Evil Dead franchise. Evil Dead Rise is probably the only one I like. Like all the other ones are just mid to me, just average. But Evil Dead Rise is fun. I like the Evil Dead. I don't care for the Sam Raimi trilogy. I can get why people love it, but it's whatever to me. But I like the reboots, I guess. The Evil Dead, genuinely scary, whereas the first 3 were just obviously more horror comedies. And then Evil Dead Rise is my favorite one though. George.
My number 4 goes to George Romero's Dead franchise. I don't know if there's
I think it's called Living Dead franchise.
The Living Dead franchise. Yeah, I didn't know if there was an official
yeah, I think it's called Living Dead
name to it. Night of the Living Dead is just the most iconic zombie flick out there. It's really what started the zombie boom.
Yeah.
Dawn of the Dead, not Zack Snyder's, even though that one is fantastic as well.
You're not wrong. I'm not going to disagree with you.
Yeah, that is really that is your favorite Snyder movie, right?
Yeah, out of the 3 I've seen.
Fair, okay,
I really like it. It's 4 stuff.
Yeah, really fair. But Dawn of the Dead is just equally as fantastic. And then Day of the Dead, Land of the Dead. I haven't seen those 2 in a bit of time, but I do remember liking them. And I just think what they do in the practical effects sphere is just incredible. They're creepy, and then they're haunting, and they're so much fun. And I have a great time with all of them, regardless of how often I watch them. It's also the craziest. The first movie came out in 1968, and when was the last movie? 2005.
No, there's one after, and it was fucking awful. It was a trophy.
Oh yeah, Diary of the Dead. I have not seen Diary of the Dead. That came out in 2007. But that's got to be the longest running movie franchise ever, besides James Bond, maybe.
King Kong.
No, I think Halloween is now, isn't it? Because 78.
Oh yeah, 78 to yeah. You're right. Halloween.
Might
yeah.
be. Yeah.
You're right. But yeah, that's such a crazy fucking time.
Oh no. Tyler might be right. King Kong. Horror.
Yeah,
it's not horror.
I meant franchise just in general. Honestly,
I'd say King Kong's got
it's
first one came out 1933.
Yeah, it's King Kong, I guess. Yeah, but
when was the first Godzilla?
Godzilla was 54. I might be wrong. It's 50s.
Really?
50s. Yeah.
But yeah, that's my number 4, the Living Dead franchise.
Seth,
I was actually right. It's actually 54. That was a fucking incredible guess.
Yeah,
wow.
I looked that up.
So my 4 is Scream. One of the most consistent horror franchises ever. Probably say second in terms of consistency in IMO. There's no Scream film that I love, but I like all of them. I have. Well, what was the Scream film? Was it Scream 3 that I wasn't a fan of? Is that the
Scream 2 is the movie theater one that a lot of people don't love.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry. Scream 2 was the only one I was not huge on, but at the same time, no, Scream 3 I was the one I wasn't huge on. Scream 3? Sorry, I'm losing track here.
I think that's one with Timothy Olyphant.
Scream 3 I didn't love. I gave it 2.5, but that's the lowest. And the other ones I give them a 3 or upwards, and the first one a 4. So there's none that I love, but I like all of them and can watch all of them, have a good time with pretty much all of them apart from 3. And I just think the consistency's there. They've been going a long time. It's iconic. It's funny. It's self-aware. Yeah, Scream is my number 4.
My 4, I'm going with Halloween on top of iconic, and I've probably seen the most in this franchise. I've seen the first, and I've seen the most recent 3. And the original remake I actually enjoy, but the other 2 kind of stink. Yeah, there's not much to say about Halloween. It is I don't know if we've said this yet, the ReelTok or Real Quick review of the week, Halloween, the original. I like the original a lot, as mentioned in my 10 favorites, and it's an iconic franchise. And also, that bangs. You can't deny it. It bangs.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, John Carpenter cooked with that score. What's the story? He wrote it in an hour, right before they were going to start filming, and now it's the most iconic score of all time. Kind of badass to be a director to also write the own score of your movie.
I was gonna say I had no clue he wrote that score.
I just found out that fun fact yesterday, where it was he wrote it in at 1 hour, and it was right before this. It was a last minute thing he threw together.
That's one of the best ever. Yeah. It has to be.
But that's the cool thing about music. You can make it so iconic, but in reality, it's 4 keys on the piano, just repeating. So it's obviously you can theoretically think someone can make that up real quick. It's not that complex of a piece, but the fact that it's so iconic. What are we on number 3?
They have it on. Yeah.
Shout out Fortnite. Did you say?
Shout out Fortnite. They have the Michael Myers right now.
Do they?
And they've got the sword and everything.
Oh shit!
It's I saw it on Twitter, and I have been playing Fortnite.
Season 1 coming back.
Yeah, we're back, baby.
Who's back in the league is Fortnite.
That is who's back in the league.
I mean,
number 3.
Number 3 for me is the Sawverse. There's not many Saws I really dislike. I think Jigsaw and Spiral are the only ones I really hate.
Yeah.
Didn't love 3D either, but Saw 1 through Saw 1 and Saw 1's really good. Obviously, Saw 2 and 3 are okay. What's the one that revived it? Saw 6 I thought was quite good.
I like Saw 6.
And then Saw 10. I still can't stop thinking about it, man. I love Saw 10. I keep thinking about just the blood scene. The teeter-totter with the blood was just so crazy. Yeah. There's genuinely just a well-shot movie. A lot of cool stuff in it. But I don't know. I want to rewatch it, even though it almost made me pass out. But yeah, Sawverse, number 3. Nice. George.
My number 3 is the Alien universe. Which I think, it would make sense that it would be higher, given that I hold Alien and Aliens as 2 of the greatest movies ever, just in general. But I don't know, in terms of horror franchise, I don't really consider Aliens a horror movie. It's more science fiction action.
There's only one for me, horror film, which is Alien. Do you consider the Alien versus Predator films in the franchise?
I'm not, but I think it would make sense if you did. Yeah. I'm strictly considering Alien 1, 2, 3, Covenant, and Prometheus,
and Resurrection.
Yeah. And the only ones I truly would consider horror here are Alien, Prometheus, and Covenant.
Oh yeah, maybe Prometheus actually.
Yeah, which is why I don't have it a little higher, because I think half the franchise is more science fiction and action as opposed to horror. Yeah. But either way, the first Alien is one of the greatest horror movies of all time. It's in my top 3. And then Prometheus and Covenant, I know they get a lot of hate, but I think they're very good movies.
I like both of them a lot.
Yeah, I think they're very, very good movies. So I got Alien at number 3.
Oh, cool.
Seth.
Yeah, sure. Sorry. My number 3, George has already mentioned it, is George A. Romero's Living Dead. Night of the Living Dead is actually one of my lowest ones. I like it. It's cool. Again, like George said, one of the most iconic zombie films ever. Probably the one that influenced all of them today. Day of the Dead, I love. Dawn of the Dead is in my top 10 horrors of all time. Dawn of the Dead is fantastic. And I do quite like Land of the Dead as well. It wasn't great, but then they kept going on after that, and there was a few stinkers after that. But yeah, 2 of them at least I would consider to be within my top 20 horrors ever. So I hold the Living Dead franchise really, really highly. I think George A. Romero is a fantastic director. I love the practical effects. I also really love zombie films, so it was always going to get in here. Like George said, I also really like Snyder's Dawn of the Dead as well. Great film. But yeah, that is my number 3, is George A. Romero's Living Dead franchise.
Is the Nazi zombies map included in that franchise? Is what is that? The 6th zombies map ever is the George A. Romero's Living Dead. I don't know if you guys are big zombies players. I guess not.
Wait, when was this?
I don't know, 2010 at this point. But it was
which map was it?
I think it's literally called George Romero zombies map.
I don't even remember this.
Yeah, it was a DLC, obviously. It was Night of the Living Dead.
Oh, yeah, shit.
From the original Black Ops. It was an expansion pack, and he was one of the characters was George Romero, and then what's the guy that's in all the movies?
The guy who
from Breaking Bad.
Wears the thing.
Danny Trejo was also one of the players.
Danny Trejo, yeah. off topic, but did you guys see the clip of the new zombies coming out? No rounds anymore.
No,
There's no rounds.
I didn't even know it was
Really?
still a thing.
It's just a big open arena. It's fucking it looks
Really?
terrible. Yeah,
That's
I used to love zombies, but
I loved Kino, and then
Kino de Toten was the one. And did you play Terminal Cam with the bus?
yeah,
Where
Terminal.
you'd, like travel around.
Yep,
That was great.
yep. I liked that. I never got any DLCs because as a kid, like, and my parents wouldn't buy it, so I didn't have any money on my own, so I never got any DLCs. But I loved Kino, loved Black Ops, greatest game ever. My number 3, the only one that I'll say I've seen all of them, other than like the extended movies, the Conjuring universe. I like the first 2, like I mentioned, so I at least got to give it props for that. And I don't think the third is horrible. The Devil, what was it? The Devil
All the time. Devil all the time.
that's the movie with Tom Holland. I don't know. It's like the devil does something in the courtroom. Devil's in the courtroom or something. Yeah, I like that one just fine. I think it's like a 2 or 2.5 out of 5. So not great, but good enough to at least get the 3 spot. And then the Nun stinks, and I won't watch the Nun remake, but good enough to be my number 3, considering I haven't seen any of these. So shout out the Conjuring universe.
Val, it's like you and Hat Guy handshake. You two agree?
Yeah, dude. Hey, Hat Guy gets bad rep on Twitter. I like Hat Guy. I've talked to about other things. I'm not gonna say he's got great movie takes. I like Hat Guy. Shout out Alex.
He kind of knows ball. I've seen him with some.
He knows ball.
He does kind of know ball, to be honest.
He knows ball.
Oh wait, wait. So now it's to me for the number 2 right now.
Number 2,
yeah. Psycho. Only reason it's not number 1 is just because there's such a drop in quality after the first one. But like Cam mentioned, there's a lot of horror franchises. But yeah, Psycho's a fun franchise. I really like that in the 4th one. Anthony Perkins got a chance to direct them. I think it's super cool. And yeah, it's Psycho's number 2. George, number 1 now, right? Yeah, number 1 for you.
2.
No.
Wait,
you started.
I started because of Xmas. Yeah. Number 2 for George.
2 for me is Scream. My 2 and 1 are interchangeable. I think Scream and my number 1 are the 2 most consistent horror franchises out there. Just constantly pumping out quality, constantly keeping things refreshing. I love the last 2 Screams. I know they haven't been as well received as the original Scream and a couple of the sequels, but I love what we're doing with these 2. I guess I don't want to call it a reboot because it
kind of is a reboot.
Yeah, it's like a soft reboot sequel. Mm-hmm. I mean, they make jokes about it in the movie and they call it a requel. But I whatever you want to call them, I love them. I think they're really good at keeping the franchise fresh and delivering for a new audience. So yeah, I got Scream at 2, one of my favorite horror franchises, one of the most consistent horror franchises.
Mm-hmm. Seth.
My 2 is The Evil Dead. What I consider to be the most consistent horror franchise ever. I got to watch the first one in 35mm a few weeks ago at the cinema. That was great. Love seeing it on the big screen. Really, really good environment. I love the first 3, specifically Evil Dead 2 being my favorite. I love that one. I think it's fantastic. Probably my top 15 horrors of all time, just outside of the top 10. Like Army of Darkness a lot, like the first one a lot. I like the Evil Dead 2013. Haven't rewatched it though, but that's definitely my lowest right now. But I think it will go up on rewatch. And then also really liked Evil Dead Rise this year, just sticking to the roots. They know what they're good at. And I do think it's the most consistent horror franchise. I will say I haven't seen, George, I don't know if you've seen the is it Ash versus Dead, the show?
Ash versus the Evil Dead.
Apparently it's really fun. Apparently it's really good.
I had started it and saw like an episode or 2 like years ago and just never continued.
Yeah, so like discount that from my my thing. But yeah, my number 2 is the Evil Dead franchise, a fantastic and what I consider to be the most consistent horror franchise of all time.
My number 2, and the only reason I had this at 1, but I moved it to 2 due to only seeing 2 of the movies. I'm gonna go with the Alien franchise. I have them both, Alien and Aliens, at a 5 out of 5. The only reason I haven't continued is I've heard the rest are shit. But I think you guys like a couple. No, I think you guys like a couple.
Most
so maybe I'll
recent
go back to it. The most recent 2 are good or shit?
Good. But the one, 3 and 4, you can give a miss. They're like, meh.
No. Yeah. Maybe I'll watch them. But I love the first 2. And then, I have seen Alien versus Predator, both of those, and I guess you guys said they're not in the franchise, but I mean
they kind of are.
They kind of are. Those are truly shit.
Yeah, I don't like them.
So that takes it down a little bit, but that'll be my number 2 is Alien.
Didn't Fincher like disown Alien 3 or whatever from his filmography?
So it was very much similar to like a Lynch's Dune, where they threw him in last minute to get on this huge studio product. He had no control at all. They kept changing the script, and so now
James Cameron gonna come back or something, or what happened with that? There was
they
some
had
weird directing thing.
They had another director. They got Fincher in like last minute. I don't know. Cameron might have been, but I can't remember. I think they switched him a few times. It was like very last minute, very bad decisions across the board. They kept changing everything to do with the film, and Fincher basically had like no say. So now, if you ask him about it, he like just hates it and he just doesn't include it in his filmography, which is fair because it's not really his work. Do you know what I mean?
Movie.
I don't think it's bad, but I don't like it. I have like a 2.5. I think it's watchable.
Shout out him, David Ayer, hating work they've done.
I still think that's kind of like a lame move to like.
I think so too.
It's like you're still like have to. It's like a football coach. Like you're still the name attached. Like you still ultimately could have like backed out if you hated it that much.
I'm with you.
Shyamalan with Last Airbender, Fincher with Alien 3, David Ayer.
I think when he signed up for it though, he was promised like things that weren't available.
So wasn't that like his like first movie or one of his first movies ever?
Yeah, it was. It's a weird film to be fucking like after Aliens. You know what I mean? It's such a huge release and a few years after. But I think he was promised a lot when he initially signed the deal, and then nothing came of it. And to the point where, so I kind of get why he doesn't count it like Lynch doesn't for Dune kind of thing. I do kind of understand it.
Still, one of my favorite like movie stories of all time was like when like I don't know if it's James Cameron or if it was like the producers when they were pitching Aliens, they just like went on a whiteboard and just wrote Alien. And just wrote the S after it, then just put the $sign through it, and then that's literally that's all they did for their pitch meeting. And I'm like, that's just such a badass story. And I don't know if it was James Cameron, but that sounds like such a James Cameron thing that he would have done.
Yeah, it does.
It's like this is all you need: more Aliens, money. Number 1 for me is Scream. It's what I consider to be the most consistent horror franchise. I'm a big Scream fan. The thing is, like, so with Saw, even though I'm a huge fan of the Saw universe, I'm not always looking forward to new Saw movies because like I feel like they're just like all kind of bland and like. I'm talking mainly like the middle ones. And like, it's like, I kind of know what I'm going to get. I'm just going to like gruesome kills. Whereas like Scream, it's going to be like that big Scooby-Doo ending with like pulling off the mask, who did it. But even if I don't love a Scream, like Scream 3, I don't think I loved, and 2, I didn't care for as much, but like, I still am like intrigued. Like I'm always going to be excited for a new Scream. Cause I was like, how are they going to do these twists? Like it's going to be fun. Usually a lot of tongue in cheek stuff in there, a lot of fun social commentary of just like what horror movies are like as the Scream universe goes on. They kind of make solid commentaries. Like I'm excited to see what like they keep coming up with in these new Screams. Like, cause there's a lot of controversial stuff going on in the horror worlds with all these legacy sequels and stuff. So I feel like there's just a lot of good content for the comedy aspects of Scream that they can go for. But yeah, Scream's number 1 for me. I really enjoy the
roasted on Twitter now.
What do you mean?
I thought, isn't that what they got roasted on Twitter for?
No,
what they get roasted for?
They said Saw was their number 1.
Oh, okay. I thought it was Scream. Okay, that makes me feel better for what my number 1 is.
Which, like, I don't like Saw and Conjuring. I don't really hate. Like, if someone said either of those are their favorite horror franchises of all time, I wouldn't really like bat an eye at them. I think it's just that they said it and the way they say it.
That's but I thought it was Scream for some reason.
It's the way they talk, but I think it's the reason they get hate.
But like, if like a horror content creator said like Saw is their favorite horror franchise of all time, I don't think anyone would be like, what the hell are they talking about? People would be like, oh, like not the first pick, I would say, but not like something I would lose my mind over. But let's George, number 1.
My number 1 is Evil Dead. But like I said, Evil Dead, Scream, they're the 2 most consistent horror franchises we have, I think, and they're pretty interchangeable. The only reason I put Evil Dead at number 1 over Scream is because if you, I guess, asked me which franchise I would remove from existence between the 2 of them, I'd probably pick Scream. I think the Evil Dead franchise just has a higher rewatch value for me, at least. I just love that quirky, gory, fun possession shit that Sam Raimi did with the original trilogy, and then I love like the revamp of Evil Dead and Evil Dead Rise just being just gory and sadistic, but also kind of carrying that quirky nature from the original trilogy. So
what's your favorite from the franchise?
Evil Dead 2.
Oh, so cool.
Yeah, Evil Dead 2. I think that's like one of the best. I think that might be. I know you'll disagree with this because of Shaun of the Dead, but I think Evil Dead 2 might be the best horror comedy ever.
I think it's my number 2, to be fair.
Yeah, they're my 1 and 2, but I think I would slightly edge Evil Dead 2.
I'd have One Cut of the Dead up there as well.
Yeah, One Cut of the Dead would be up there for me too. Ready or Not would be up there for me personally, and definitely not for most people. But yeah, Evil Dead for me, best horror movie franchise out there.
Nice. My number 1 is Alien, obviously. Alien's a weird one because, like George said, there's like 2 films, maybe 3 I'd consider horror, but obviously the main bulk of why it's at number 1 is how highly I hold Alien, being one of my favorite most rewatched films of all time. Aliens, I still think it's really, really good. I'm definitely more on the lens of I prefer the horror aspects and the atmosphere rather than sci-fi action, but Aliens is also great, obviously. Alien 3, I'm not huge on. I think it's meh, and Alien 4 probably worse. I'm actually less on Alien 4. Resurrection, but then I personally think Prometheus and Covenant are both really good. Covenant, I actually think is slightly higher. I think I'd go top 3 would be Alien, Aliens, and then Alien Covenant, which is apparently controversial to most people because I know a lot of people didn't like Covenant, but I really like it. And I think that it just it's one of the franchises that means a lot to me. I can rewatch the films over and over again, especially the first 2 and the most recent 2. And I think that it really is the first one, especially that's kind of holding up the weight. And like Cam said, like the Alien vs Predator films, like they're shit.
They're real bad.
I'm not thinking about this one. I'm just counting Alien on its own. Do you know what I mean? So Alien is my number 1 pick, 100%. It was actually close between that and The Evil Dead, but I edge Alien just because of the first one.
The Alien vs Predator movies are real bad.
Yeah, they're not great.
All right, my number 1, and I'm kind of my number 1 Scream. And I'm kind of anti-Scream in the sense that I think they're all very okay. None of them are bad. None of them are bad, but I don't love any of them. So I hate that it's my number 1, but it is the one I've seen them all, except the new one. I never got around to. I'll watch it sometime this year.
Oh, the new one.
Yeah, I'll watch it sometime for like 2023 ranking purposes. I don't think any of them are amazing. I think my highest rated is the original, which may be a 4 out of 5. But then other than that, I think they're all, in the range of a 3, 3.5, 4, which is good. Yeah. Just nothing blows me away. But yeah, my number 1 Scream. So me and Tyler are with each other there. Yeah, I think my Scream rankings range from a 4.5. Oh, I gave Scream 3 a 1.5, I guess. I disliked that one.
Too bad, wasn't great.
Yeah. And then a 2 for Scream 4. Tyler, sorry. I'm sorry to tell you that.
Yeah, you're crazy for that one.
That's one of the biggest discrepancies in rating between 2.
That is crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
best Ghostface in the whole franchise.
I have a 2. I see Tyler 4.5.
I think I have a 3 or 3.5.
Yeah, so I don't see you on here because there you are, 3.5 for you and George. Sam Cosplays, if you know her, has a 4.5. Like, this is just a large rating distribution by people.
She's got it. Sam's got to have all the Screams very
probably
high.
She loves the Screams.
She loves the Scream movies.
Yeah, but I'm the lowest on it, which might be crazy. But I have seen the whole Screams and I like the first, so I gotta at least give it credit for that in the sense that none of them are blow my brains out bad, but. Yeah, like some of the fucking Halloween franchises. That's Scream rankings.
You haven't even seen the worst Halloween film.
No, that's true.
Some of them are like,
some of them are so bad.
I think it's the 6th one.
I watched.
George, the one with Busta Rhymes in it, where you're like,
I watched that clip today on Twitter.
That is one of the worst films.
And the mask looked really bad.
Oh my god!
The mask was really bad in those as well.
The mask did not look that bad in the original.
The mask was really bad. Yeah. They changed the mask up for a few of them.
Yeah, the mask does get bad. The mask from, I think it's Resurrections. Like they tried to. It looks too clean, and it just looks so shit.
There's no like. That's why, George, I want you to watch. I know you won't like them, but the Rob Zombie ones.
I've seen all the Halloweens.
Oh, have you seen the Rob Zombie ones?
I've seen all the
But I think the Rob Zombie, the mask.
I just don't like that.
Fair. I think the Rob Zombie one was cool because it's like disheveled.
Yeah, it's got a hole in it. It's gross.
Yeah, but the Resurrection was just like a white blank face.
Yeah,
it looked terrible.
The Rob Zombie one's got like That one's got like Daniel Radcliffe Goblet of Fire hair though.
That's true. Yeah,
that one goes crazy.
That's actually quite funny. Yeah,
that one goes nuts.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Sticks out at the back. I get it. That's true.
Well, yeah, of course, Halloween the original is going to be our real quick review this week, and a real quick draft this week is going to be drafting Halloween candy. So if you know you're prepped for that, on the side you can kind of prep that a little bit while we're wrapping up here. But
you won't know anything I say.
I mean, I got that Empire of Light package back in
January.
I got some.
Yeah. I got some chocolates banged.
Yeah, British.
Yeah, but we know that American sweets, like I like your sweets, but your chocolate stinks. It's terrible. It's plastic. It's awful. Like you can admit that. I hope anyway.
Well, I mean, I definitely liked all the chocolate from that box way more than any chocolate.
That is not a stray, George. It's too general to be a stray. You're all American.
You ever had a Crunch Bar? Crunch Bars bang.
I actually have. Oh, wait, Three Musketeers American? Are they American?
Those suck, though. Yeah.
No, I like them. I remember having them on holiday a few years ago. I quite like that.
God, maybe you just have bad taste.
Yeah, true.
I tweeted like 2 days ago, so I'm saying like, what's the better horror franchise, Scream or Halloween? And a lot of people are saying Halloween like invented the slasher genre, but I thought everyone kind of agreed that like Psycho was the first slasher.
No, it was
Psycho's not really
Peeping Tom was like.
No, I don't.
Psycho is.
I mean, like I wouldn't call it like a slasher like Halloween though.
I think Peeping Tom was Peeping Tom came out the same year as Psycho. That was like one of the first ones. There's this. Someone told me that there is a slasher that came out in like the 50s. There was like the first one, but I think Psycho was one of the biggest influences in terms of the way they shot the kills and stuff. It's very similar to Halloween, especially the first one. So I'd probably say Psycho, but yeah, I get it.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into Killers of the Flower Moon now. So it's gonna be.
I'm gonna mute and just text me or.
Sounds good. Well, Seth just dropped away, but
I'll literally be like 1 minute. I'm just putting.
Yeah, sounds good. So Killers of the Flower Moon. Obviously, we're a week late, so we won't go over it like too crazy in depth. We obviously will have a lot to say, but George said he wouldn't have a ton to say for this. Cam hasn't seen it yet, and we are a week late at this point, which kind of like I tweeted the other day about like film Twitter, like how you just always feel behind on everything. Like I feel the same about like just like content in general, like the fact that we're like a week late. I'm like, I feel like it's already been like 10 lifetimes since Killers of the Flower Moon has come out. So, but yeah, for those of you who've been waiting to hear our thoughts, because I know a lot of people have, Killers of the Flower Moon, the latest from Martin Scorsese, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert De Niro, Jesse Plemons, Lily Gladstone, Brendan Fraser. When oil is discovered in 1920s Oklahoma under Osage Nation land, the Osage people are murdered one by one until the FBI steps in to unravel the mystery. So 3 of us have seen it at this point. Reviews right now. So Seth has it at a 5-star. George and I have it at a 4-star. And Cam hasn't seen it yet. I actually don't know, like, when does it come out on Apple TV Plus? Probably like in like a week or so, but so it came out in theaters, but they're not like Peacock where they're just doing the same exact date where it's dropping. But Apple TV Plus is probably coming out, I guess, in sometime in November. Big controversy this week with the whole intermission stuff where like some theaters have just like randomly added in an intermission, which is just like so wild. Like, to just,
how do you randomly do that? Like, I feel like that's just like, if it's not in the movie already, don't just add it in.
Right. Like who has the balls, or like who has the power of the theater to be like, this is exactly what the should be. Like who chooses like when like the cut's gonna be. Like it's just so wild that like they're just doing that. And it's just like so weird that the discourse of runtimes popped up for this one. Like it's like 10 minutes longer than like so many movies we've seen recently, like Avatar and
I'm sure many people watched
Avengers.
Endgame in theaters like 4 or 5 times. Like you could sit through one 3.5-hour movie and not need an intermission.
Yeah, so it's really weird to me that like the discourse got so crazy for this one. But anyways, let's get into our review of it. So George, I don't know if you want to just give your kind of quick high level thoughts.
Yeah, I also want to like explain just why I'm gonna take a backseat. I had like just a shit week last week. I was just like in agony, just going through some shit. And I was like really, I hate to admit this, but I am going to rewatch the movie, but I was just like very in and out of like paying attention to Killers of the Flower Moon. I was just not in the right headspace mentally and physically. And it was just like it was very agonizing just sitting there for 3.5 hours. I just felt very uncomfortable. So it was just really like, for me personally, the theater experience was not bad. It was just me personally. I was just in a really just bad place, and just watching that movie was just not what I needed in that moment. So I'm going to rewatch it this week, hopefully Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. And I'll probably post like a full TikTok video, or even next week, I'll just give my opinions quickly. But it's a Scorsese flick. It truly is a behemoth. It is a really powerful educational movie. That's just about what I'm going to say on it, because I really don't think my review would do this film justice until I've rewatched it. So I'm going to let you and Seth just take the reins on this one.
Yeah, that's fair. One thing I just do want to mention. So I Googled it, so I guess I was wrong. So Apple TV said that it'll be at least 45 days before it's going to be on streaming services, which means it'll be December. But I've also there's also apparently rumors that they're not even going to put it on Apple TV Plus until 2024. So gonna get a full extended theatrical run. And if you're like been holding out for seeing it on streaming services, it's not going to be for a while. So Apple TV very committed to the theatrical run, unlike some other streaming services. So nice to see. So Seth, you're the highest on it. So a rare first watch 5-star review from Seth. So yeah, give your overall thoughts on Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah, so obviously I watched it. On the 11th, so quite a while ago now, actually. So I obviously Scorsese is one of my favorite filmmakers ever, as I've said many times. And I think we're in the period right now for me of Scorsese's best ever work as a filmmaker, or most ambitious, most daring works. And I think that Killers of the Flower Moon definitely fits within that. I think it's a monumental achievement in not only American cinema, but in cinema in general, that is as sprawling and epic as a piece of American history, but also an essential film and really one of his most important films, along with Silence, which obviously I speak very, very highly about, and along with a few of his previous other works as well. And I think it's important to emphasize with a film like this that I'm not Osage. I'm not a person who can look at this and judge it by its values, because I hear a lot of criticisms about how it should have been from different perspectives in terms of the protagonist. Completely fair. I think that this film is one of those where I can't offer a full opinion, or I can offer my own, but I can't offer full value from the mindset of someone whose family's been through that. But I do think what Martin Scorsese actually accomplished is a really sincere, a really delicate, and a really passionate project that shone a light onto a darker portion of American history that definitely for me, I'm not sure how spoken about it is in America, but for me, I wasn't that familiar with, only kind of the basics. And I think it's important to note, I haven't read the book either. I recently went on 24 Minutes of A24 with Ethan and Ben, which obviously Tyler went on as well. I gave him a brief discussion on there, and I think it was Ben mentioned he'd read the book and his experience was a little bit different. And I've spoken to a lot of people about that. The books was very different in terms of the path it took. So yeah, completely makes sense in that regard. And I haven't read it, so I could be way off. But I just found it to be such a phenomenal experience, a phenomenal piece of storytelling, emotional, devastating, and really, really important as a piece of history. I also think, I heard you guys speaking about the runtime discourse as well. Like, I think Tyler said this, but it's weird because, yeah, it's a long film, but there's been so many 3+ hour films and no one's complained. Like, John Wick was nearly 3 hours. Oppenheimer, Babylon was almost the same time, I think, or like a bit less, obviously. But yeah, the discourse on it is very unusual. I do think that comes from a place of the subject matter of the film, tonally. So me personally, I didn't feel any of the runtime, which is rare because I do speak about runtimes a lot, and I do think if a film is too long for me, I'll always say it. But I went with Josiah Coops, and we were both kind of in awe the whole time. And I remember just thinking, like, when it ended, it felt like about 2 hours. I had a blast. Sounds bad because I didn't have fun with this. It's not a film that's meant for that. But it was an educating experience, and it was something I couldn't take my eyes off. And it was something I loved. It's currently my number one of the year so far, my only 5-star this year, and it actually sits at 5th place in my Scorsese filmography. And fun fact as well, Scorsese, I now have 4th place, because I have 5 out of 5 from Scorsese. So he's now joint with Kubrick and Bergman, which is interesting. So yeah, I loved it. Number 1 of the year so far. And I think he achieved exactly what he set out to do.
Yeah, kind of going off what you were saying about like the Osage, like a lot of interesting discourse from that aspect as well, in terms of like we've seen, Native Americans and Osage come out and like give their opinions on the movie.
Did you see the video of the guy who was like
who worked on the movie?
What's the word for it? Like he was the Osage, like
not translator, but he kind of like, I think he was like kind of helping with like the language and stuff.
He also did something else like in terms of the story. Yeah, he was like the guy on the side who was helping out with the culture and the language, stuff like that, which I actually found really refreshing, that he offered. I think his perspective was really, really interesting. Coming from an
Mhm.
Osage person, it's really interesting to listen to, and I like how Scorsese got people involved like that because a lot of other filmmakers wouldn't, and we know that. So I really appreciated different perspectives. But yeah, sorry,
Right.
carry on.
Yeah, and then like there's that one Twitter thread from that actress from Reservation Dogs, and like a lot of like she was obviously very negative on the movie, and a lot of people kind of like jumped at her for that. And like I've kind of come, I see it from both sides. For me personally, like I removed like a line from a letterbox review saying like Martin Scorsese handled the subject matter with a lot of care, because yeah, sure he might have not. Like I don't know. Like I just feel like I don't really have the voice to say if he did or
Yeah,
not.
that makes sense.
But I've seen a lot of people jump on her for being so negative, but it's like I don't know, like I guess you can like disagree with someone's opinion, but I feel like when like they've like they from that cultural background, I feel like it's kind of like weird to like attack someone for like being strongly negative about something when like they have like a more of a like connection to it. But I don't know. I did see like the video of the guy on the red carpet, and that was really refreshing review too, especially from somebody who like worked on the movie, like to be able like to come out and like, because obviously like I mean that's just kind of a film industry thing that I feel like a lot of people might not like realize firsthand is like just because you're like in a movie or worked on it, like you're part of like a sliver of the process. So you have like no idea what the final thing's going to be until you see it. I mean, even a lot of actors in this movie probably had no clue what any movie's going to look like until they actually see it.
Absolutely. I also think that kind of is a credit to Scorsese as well for getting people to work on the film like that, and actually having people deliver, on the red carpet, deliver, from the background, deliver a nuanced review of the film and a really honest look at it, because he wasn't wholly negative on the film like the review you just spoken about, but he had issues with it. He had issues with the path they took in terms of, choosing to go with, what's his name?
Ernest Burkhart.
Ernest Burkhart, yeah. With his sort of story with the love and stuff, instead of actually showing the compassionate way and going from kind of Molly's perspective, which I definitely understand. So I think it was nice to hear perspectives from different cultures. But yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying. I think it's very weird attacking someone for their review who literally comes from that background is a bit odd. And also like just attacking some review in general. Do you know what I mean? Like just it's a film that's going to have, I think I said this in my review initially when I watched Killers of the Flower Moon, it's not a Scorsese for everyone. It's not a sprawling Goodfellas. It's not a gangster flick. It's going to be similar reaction to Silence.
There's splashes of Goodfellas in there, though.
There is. No, absolutely. Yeah. I just mean like subject matter wise, it's not something you can go overboard. It's something you have to be care and delicate with, which is why I compare it to like a Silence, because you're not, people are going to be upset at the film, how you display certain things, but it's a sincerity that comes from Scorsese that I value completely, because I really do think he took the care when going into it, like Silence and like The Last Temptation of Christ. But they're always going to be controversial films because of the subject matter, and you have to be honest and open with other people's opinions on them. That's kind of, my take on it anyway.
Agreed. And we'll talk when we kind of like briefly go into spoilers. We'll talk about like kind of the ending and how like he might have like touched on something for like the criticism for this part, but I do think I wish Lily Gladstone did get a little more focus in this movie. Like a lot of people say she's like the front runner for lead actress. I thought she was really, really good in this, but like, I don't know. I just feel like she didn't get like, I was expecting a lot. Like when I saw it, because before the movie came out, like we'd already, because it premiered, what was it, Cannes Film Festival where it came out?
Yeah.
Pretty much the overwhelming reaction was like Lily Gladstone just won her Oscar. And if she wins, I would like totally be happy about it. But like, I don't know. I was just like kind of surprised. Like it was almost like not to compare the movies, but it was almost like Margot Robbie and Barbie, where like I went in expecting this to be a full movie about her, and then I was like, oh, like kind of took a back seat more than I was expecting to. So I guess in terms of that aspect is like a fine comparison. But yeah, for me, one more thing to touch on. So you said, someone from like the UK like might not know too much about the Osage history. Same thing in America. This is something I'd never learned in history class or was taught about, but that's not just an Osage thing. I think in general, just America doesn't want to teach about Native Americans. Like, I mean, obviously like what they've done throughout history has been atrocious to them. So it's just kind of classic,
ignore it, sweep under the rug.
Yeah. Sweep it under the rug. It's like any war that the US has ever lost is like, we just won't really touch on that one. And like, history classes, like it's not just Osage, even though, I had never heard of any of this, but because that was my immediate reaction coming out of the movie. I was like, wow, there's like such a like deeply emotional, moving, impactful story. How had I never heard anything about the Osage Nation? Then I was like, I haven't heard shit about like Choctaw, Chippewa, like any Native American.
Yeah.
I was like, I guess it's not just an Osage thing, just any Native American, which, I definitely want to start diving into more. But like we just kind of mentioned about Goodfellas, it's kind of like there's definitely a Goodfellas moments in this where it's like it has that gritty gangster crime thriller vibe, but also like a lot of like meditative emotion of something like Silence. So I feel like it was a kind of a blend of Scorsese's old career with his new career in terms of like the gangster epic versus kind of more deeply meditative movie.
Yeah, I agree.
I think DiCaprio, like I think this is his best performance of his career. I
Oh,
mean,
really? Interesting.
I do think so. I mean, it's close to me, which I know you're not high in the movie, but I think his performance in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is up there for me. Maybe his
That's my
best
number
ever.
one
Oh, really?
performance. I did it literally like I did a video on it like last week. I did like
Mhm.
a ranking. My number one is his performance in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah,
So
and like they're like
it was
tied for me.
5 for me.
I
Because
think it
of
might be a
Hollywood,
little
5
Killers of
for me.
Flower Moon might be like just recency bias maybe for his performance, but yeah,
It's
I think
high up there.
clearly,
Yeah.
and like obviously a lot of people would say Wolf of Wall Street's a common pick, but I think for me it's between Killers of Flower Moon and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood for his
For me,
best
it's
ever.
Once Eating Gilbert Grape was my number 2.
Yeah,
Catch Me If You Can, and then probably Kills the Full Moon. So
for
my
me with
4.
What's Eating Gilbert Grape, which I love, that's up there as well. It's just like kind of it's almost like hard to compare that because it's like been so
It
long
is.
ago, and like it's
Yeah,
almost like a different person at this point. Like,
yeah.
But not enough people, in my opinion, are talking about Robert De Niro. To me, like he was the best performance personally of the movie. To me, like he was just so menacing without trying to be menacing. Like he was just like sitting there, just being normal. But like I was terrified of him the whole movie. I thought he really gave a phenomenal performance because, as we know, Robert De Niro late career, he's been kind of all over the place with like the movies he's been in. Like he's been in a lot of unserious projects, but like the fact he can still, put on the acting chops and deliver just such a phenomenal performance like this is crazy. And then the last performance I'll touch on is Brendan Fraser. So like a lot of people are like saying like it's a very divisive performance.
Very.
And like the weird thing is people defending him are like saying like pointing out like I saw Apple TV tweeted saying like look in the book like it was an exclamation point like he was supposed to yell in the courtroom. But like everyone's like acting like since I didn't like the performance like that the courtroom like him yelling is the only thing I didn't like. Like I didn't like a single second he was on the screen. It wasn't just like the initial outburst that I feel like most people were taking a jar by, but like when they went in that bottom basement room and like talked to Ernest Burkhardt about like what he should do and like not testify, like that whole sequence with his dialogue, like when he's not being an outburst, like, I still was just like, I'm not digging this performance. It wasn't just like his one like outburst court scene. Just like and every second he was on screen, I just didn't like Brendan Fraser in this movie at all.
Yeah, I also didn't really love it, to be honest. Like, I'm not going to say I hated it. It didn't bother me to the point where it took me out of the film, but I don't know. I guess I'm just not, honestly, I'm just not like huge on Brendan Fraser. I didn't love his performance in The Whale either. I don't know. It just didn't really fit for me. Like, I didn't hate it. It didn't take me out, but it's not something I love. But it's crazy. Like on Twitter, it's like no one's in the middle. It's I'm seeing so many people love it. And then, I've seen so many people hate it as well. I've seen like a lot of tweets about people not liking it. So it's very divisive. I think he has his kind of caricature, his the way he displays himself was deliberate in the film, obviously.
Right.
But I think it's whether his voice and his mannerisms work for you in that atmosphere, And for me, mostly didn't. Some parts I was fine with, but I didn't love it. But I get both sides, you know what I mean? It's just about if you like his persona. So I get if you loved it, but I also get like you if you didn't particularly like it because it's a tough one. You know what I mean? It's not like how do I explain it? It's not going to work for everyone. Do you know what I mean? It's not an actor who's always going to work. Same with The Whale. Same with the reaction to that. Same thing.
Yep, exactly. But because of that, the courtroom sequences kind of at the end just didn't really like hit as hard for me as I wanted them to, just because I don't think I could really take them seriously. That's why, like mentioned earlier, The Burial is probably the best courtroom scene I've seen of the year. And again, like I said, I haven't seen Anatomy of a Fall, and I don't know. Like, I'm pretty sure from what I've heard, that's like basically just purely like a courtroom drama. So I haven't seen that yet. But for me, I don't know. Like personally, I felt every minute of the 3.5 hour runtime, and not like in a bad way. It's just I didn't really think it flew by for me. But I mean, it didn't feel longer than 3.5 hours. It was like just like I felt the runtime. So I went to like a early screening or whatever, and they like had like a dress code where it said like cocktail.
Yeah, that's
attire.
crazy. I wore like tracksuit bottoms, or like I had a bag with me and shit. Like I was just like.
But like the worst thing was they said that the dress code wasn't strictly enforced, which I think is the worst thing ever, because it's like, then do you show up fully dressed up and then you stick out like a sore thumb, or do you say, oh, it's not strictly enforced, I'll go casually, and then everyone is following it and you're
everyone's
like,
there.
It's like if you're gonna have a dress code strictly enforced. So we kind of just did the middle. Like Riley just wore like a
how did you watch
dress.
it? Was it like what kind of was it like IMAX or?
It was a Dolby screening, so it wasn't
same as ours. Yeah, we had Dolby. Yeah.
But yeah, like I just wore like a nice shirt and pants, so I was like, I'm just gonna shoot for the middle. Like I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I do.
But yeah, like the concession line was super long. Like Riley, because it was like around dinner time. It's obviously like a long movie, so Riley got like chicken tenders, and they were taking forever. So like the movie was about to start, and I was like, "Sorry, I can't wait with you any longer. Like I have to go in there." She didn't end up missing any of the movie, but I walked in with popcorn, tripped up the stairs, going up the stairs. All time humiliating move.
Do you know how many times it's happened to me? It's crazy.
It's yeah, and obviously it's like a fully sold out massive theater showing, and I was like, and my seat was like a reserved seat, so it was like the front row of like the. Not like the front section, but like the main section. So like everyone, all the rows behind me, just like saw me just eat shit, and I was like, "This is great. This is exactly how it started." But yeah, so I feel like that a lot of this movie was just absolutely brilliant. Like I said, I just think he's just operating at such a high level that the end of this movie is just so crazy, and we'll kind of transition at this point into some spoilers in general. There's not honestly like a ton of spoilers I want to go into, but obviously I want to talk about the ending of the movie, so I'll throw on the spoilers sign. But I guess let's start there. So the big end reveal is they kind of just show that kind of the retelling of this movie is through kind of like a old school kind of radio show, talk show broadcast with the performative, kind of live instruments and live studio audience. And then the big kind of rug pull at the end is that Scorsese is the last guy who comes out and kind of reads the final passage of the film. And I don't know. I just don't really think there was any possible way he could have done it better than that to kind of just cement the fact that like he's telling a movie about people that he has because I was confused when he said like, this is a deeply personal movie to me. I was like, and I tried to look it up and I couldn't find anything. So I don't know if you have anything, but he kept saying like, there's a deeply personal story to him. And I was like, what is his connection here? Like, I don't get like his connection to these people.
I don't know. I was kind of thinking the same. I don't know if he
said it so many times too, like how like personal and it was to him. And I'm like, where? Like, and I couldn't find anything online, like how the connection is.
I think. Well, so when he did the talk that I went to see at the London Film Festival, he kind of mentioned the material a lot. He didn't say like any background, but he did say this is a film he's been wanting to do for a while. Like he initially started reading this book and was trying to write a script for it originally, I believe, in like mid 2000s, kind of late 2000s. So I think it's a film he's been wanting to make for a long time. I don't know if he goes further back than that, but I think it was just a project he's really passionate about and he's been kind of waiting to do. I would assume that's it anyway. It might be more. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I don't know if he has a connection to the author either, because The Wager, his next movie, is by the same exact author, Killers of the Flower Moon. So
yeah,
he clearly took like a good strong connection to that. But like I was saying, like I don't think there's really any better way to show that the fact that like he's telling such an important story, but at the end of the day he's just telling someone else's story, and once again it's white people telling a story about other he's just kind of like, he doesn't want to be the person to tell the story, but he kind of feels like a duty and obligation to, because it is such an emotional, impactful story that needs to be told, but he doesn't feel like he's the right person to be telling it, but he still is telling it. And obviously like a massive like kind of shot-ish at like true crime podcasts and shows, which are like the massive rage that are just like commodifying and profiting off of like horrible things, and which like kind of is what they're doing here too. Like, cause like he's going to be making a lot of money from this too, but he's kind of self-aware of that. So I don't know, the self-awareness I really enjoyed about the final reveal. And obviously it was just like a crazy thing to see. Like I was like, holy shit, what the hell?
It almost, excuse me, it almost takes you out. You know, the goal might be, it kind of takes you out of a movie environment, you know, of the fact that what you've just watched isn't a film, it's not a story, it's kind of real life. And he kind of, Scorsese manages to put you in perspective of that and understand by putting you in an environment like the true crime sphere and stuff like that, that this is something that actually happened. These are events that actually took place. And more importantly, this is how people were treated. And he's the one to kind of tell this story. And I really liked that because it kind of takes you out of the film environment and makes you think. A very thought-provoking approach. Not something I've ever seen before. It really surprised me. Like, I don't know about you, but I was really shocked at the end of it. I was like, what the fuck? This is out of nowhere. But I really like that. Again, it comes back to kind of the self-awareness as well of Scorsese as a filmmaker and how sincere he is as a filmmaker that I really appreciated. So I really like the ending. I know it's like quite a controversial one. I can't remember who I spoke to now, and they weren't a big fan of it. Interestingly, for that reason that it took them out of the film, but I think that's the approach. That's the goal. You know, you want to see this as something that actually happened and not just a story for entertainment. Does that make sense? That's kind of how I see it. Anyway.
No, totally agree. And then just, so I don't know. I don't really have anything to touch on the ending. I thought I've loved the ending. It really elevated the film for me. I think there's so many minor supporting roles in this movie that were like so well done. Like some people, like who's that one guy who's like that actor who got 0 lines? Who I can't remember what thing he's.
What's
that dude? He has a very distinct looking face, but what's he like? God, what's his name?
Fuck, man, I know exactly who you mean.
Yeah. Oh
I
gosh.
saw this on Twitter.
I'm looking at the
actually.
cast, but he's probably gonna be pretty far down.
He will be, yeah.
He has such a distinct face.
Oh, by the way, Jesse Plemons is so good.
Eldon Henson. What is he?
That's
What is he in? What's he like known from? He's in like the Mighty Ducks, but I thought it was something more iconic than that.
No, there was something I saw on Twitter. I'll check when you talk. But yeah, Jesse Plemons as well. I think he'll like honestly become like a regular now. You know, because obviously since The Irishman and stuff, I think Jesse Plemons is such a good.
Dude,
actor.
he's so good. And like it kind of sucked that like it was probably like 45 minutes left when we first saw him. Like it was like way later than I thought.
Yeah, it was. He's pretty young too, you know. He's like mid-30s. He's not like middle-aged. He's still in his 30s, I think. So he's like.
Yeah, his film like I saw someone like half jokingly tweet it, but like someone like half jokingly tweeted like Jesse Plemons might have the greatest filmography of all time, and he's like definitely like he
give it like 15 years, it's gonna be fucking crazy. Like some of the films, he's such a good actor. I really like
all the films he's been in, plus like throw Breaking Bad into the mix too. Like it's just crazy.
Yeah, literally is like one of the main villains in Breaking Bad. It's crazy.
But he's so good in this. I love like a meme I saw from like it was like Apple TV Plus. It's like we're here to see about the intermissions. Like what about the intermissions? See who's been doing them.
I kept seeing so many like Frito-Lay memes after he came on. It's crazy. No one's ever gonna let him live that role down.
Yeah,
that's like always the role people.
But I mean, it's not like in a negative way. It's like that he genuinely had one of the funniest things ever.
No, it was great. Yeah, exactly. I just think he's like one of the most exciting. I guess he is kind of up and coming. Not because he's not old. You know, he's like 20. Like, I think he's like 34.
He's pretty
35.
young in Breaking Bad. Like, I mean, he looked like he's supposed to be like an 18, 20-year-old, but he probably was like 25, 26.
I think he was like mid-20s. Yeah, mid-20s. But like, he's really one of the most exciting actors in Hollywood right now, and his filmography is just building. And I think more importantly as well, they're not just like good films; they're interesting films. He's picking really interesting projects.
Like I'm thinking of ending things. Like he's picking.
He
like
was
stuff.
in Judas and the Black Messiah with Daniel Kaluuya and Keith Stanfield is in. I'm thinking of ending things like you said. The Irishman obviously kills the family. The Master, PTA's The Master, he was in that. He was in El Camino, obviously the Breaking Bad universe. And he's been in like so many other good stuff. And such an interesting career. And I think he's going to be like really excited to kind of follow. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, really, really liked him. I think he's such a great
It's crazy because he went from like because after El Camino he was like Fat Damon and that was like his thing, but he's like almost outlived that, like because he's been in so many good movies that he was like able to kind of like almost erase that meme. Like,
oh, absolutely. He's
no
like
one really calls him
higher than that. He's so much higher than that now. Like he's just a really fucking great actor. That's the thing.
Yeah, there's so many great supporting roles in this movie. Kind of talking about Osage representation. I love that they used actual like Native American people, like not just like straight up actors, but I will say like there was some scenes where like I could kind of tell they're not like very experienced. Like I don't know, like in the huts when they're doing like the overall speech with like the town saying like we got to go to like all these people are coming in ruining our town. Like I feel like it was supposed to be a super powerful like emotional speech, but I kind of was just like I was like this isn't really like, I'm not really being like sold or moved by this.
Yeah, it's going to be tough when it's kind of the awkward line of using authentic people, but then also
which I'd rather have them do. Like I'm happy.
Yeah, obviously you'd rather use authentic people, especially in an instance like this. If he didn't, he would definitely get some flack and deservedly so.
Right.
But it's going to be hard for them to be especially when you've got such good actors.
Right. Yeah.
You got your Jess Plemons, you got Leo, you got Lily Gladstone, you've got Robert De Niro. It's going to be hard to contrast them with each other. Do you know what I mean? But I think they did a good job.
Right. Yeah.
I also think she was really great as well. I'm not going to remember her name, but it was like her first acting role in a film. It was Lily Gladstone's sister who gets killed earlier on in the film. We got spoilers, but the one who drinks quite a lot. She was great. I really, really liked her. I think that was like one of her first roles. I'm pretty sure, but there was a few. Yeah, I know what you mean, but it is going to be hard because it also makes them look worse when they're having conversations with these actors. Right. Do you know what I mean?
One thing I kind of want to like talk to you about, just to kind of get your thoughts on it. So when her sister or her second sister to die at this point gets blown up in the house with that other guy who was like hopping around the family, going sister to sister, getting in relationships with them, just trying to take their, I can't remember what the term is for it. Not like penance, but like whatever it means to have like the rights to the real estate and like whatever. When their house gets blown up and they go and find like them dead. Well, he's not dead at the moment. He's like, kill me. Very like gruesome graphic scene. But then you see her and her like the back of her head's like blown up, but she like the way she was laying looked like she was like been dead for a while. Like she was like laying there peacefully. So like my kind of interpretation from that was either like it was just maybe like weird because like I don't know, like she looked like too pristine sitting there and like she had her skin already looked kind of like gray. So it was like maybe she's been dead for a while. So like my interpretation was maybe like he already killed her and like completed his next like killed the family or like somehow like staged her death. And then like the house blew up like later that night or something. I don't know. Like I just thought it was weird when they went to the house, like it just blew up. but she was just kind of like laying there, like cross-armed, like kind of just like looked
It
a little
was.
pristine.
It did look like she was there. Yeah, it was kind of weird. I don't know. Because you could be right. I think it's also logical to think he killed her, and then kind of that was set
Like
up
it
later
was a
on down the
suicide,
line.
quote unquote suicide.
Yeah, and that was kind of set up later down the line. I think that's probably what I'd go with, to be honest, and that makes the most sense. But it also could have just been that.
And it was like her back of her head was blown out too, which like being blown up. Like I feel like it was just like a little too coincidental. But
you'd probably assume it was like a murder suicide kind of thing. I would assume so anyway, but who knows? I'd probably go with the same as you, definitely.
Dude, and then one thing in the courtroom scene that like totally thought was going to go a different way. So I can't remember what his relation was, but the guy who brought her one sister down to like that creek or whatever and like shot her and killed her, when they were like in the courtroom scene, they're like, you went back to that creek, didn't you? And he's like, yeah. And they're like, what did you do down there? And I totally thought it was going to go a really creepy, different direction, that like he did something to her dead body. But then he's just like, I threw parties. I was like, oh my, I thought that was going somewhere way different when they're like, what did you do down there when you went back?
I actually remember what you mean now. And I think I thought the same thing. I'm just trying to remember.
Yeah. I was like, what the hell did he do? And then he's just like, I threw parties on there. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I actually remember exactly what you mean.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't have anything else to say. I think it was like, a masterpiece in terms of like the filmmaking, just in terms of like overall like enjoyment, like and like Scorsese would be the first to tell you this isn't really a film he made with the intent to like entertain people. It's an educational film, which I think was very like I was happy for it because like we already mentioned, like with this stuff we had never heard about, and it's awesome when you can kind of use film as a vessel to tell people about like atrocious things that have happened that no one's really everyone's kind of sweeping under the rug. But yeah, any other thoughts from you on Killers of the Flower Moon?
No, I kind of said everything I wanted to say. Like I said, it's my number one of the year. I think it's one of Scorsese's best. So right now it sits just above Raging Bull and just below Taxi Driver. That's kind of how highly I think of it as a film.
Well, I was actually going to do now like our top 10 Scorsese, just like run through our list 10 to 1.
I've got it ready anyway.
Not going to go around the horn or anything, but just kind of go from 10 to 1. So I got mine. Yeah, what are yours?
So I got 10, The Irishman, 9. That's so funny the way it was like 9, King of Comedy, 8, Casino, 7, The Departed, 6, After Hours, 5, Raging Bull, 4, Killers of the Flower Moon, 3, Taxi Driver, 2, Goodfellas, and 1, Silence. That's my top 10 right now.
All right. Caveat before I do mine. I only have 11 logged. I've seen more than 11 of his films, but I only have 11 logged. But I still feel like Scorsese is such a strong filmography that even only logging 11, like I feel like my top 10 is like a good top 10. Like I'm still happy with all these films. Number 10 for me is
my bottom 10 are a good top 10.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
I mean? Like literally.
Exactly. Well, shout out to Age of Innocence, the only movie I have logged from Martin Scorsese that's not making my top 10 because I only have 11 logged, but it's not making the top 10. Which shout out real quick, like episode like 7 or some shit whenever we did the review of that. Number 10, I have Taxi Driver. Number 9, I have The Aviator. Number 8, Killers of the Flower Moon. Number 7, The Wolf of Wall Street. Number 6, The Irishman. Number 5, Shutter Island. Number 4, Goodfellas. 3, Raging Bull. 2, Silence, and 1, The Departed.
Fair. I didn't know you were that high on Shutter Island. I feel like we never spoke about that.
I feel like it's like a very hated on movie, which I never really kind of understood.
For me, it's a loved movie.
No, by the populace, it is, but by critics, it's a very hated movie.
For me, it's like it's really good. I just like conceptually, I don't find it as interesting as Scorsese's other works, but I still have it like a 4-star. Like, do you know what I mean? It's you like Tyler, like you said, you know, with Scorsese, Shutter Island is 15th on my like ranking of Scorsese's films, but it's a 4-star, so that means absolutely nothing. Do you know what I mean? His bottom, like even I only have out of the 26 films I've seen from him, I've seen all of them. There's only 2 that are a 2.5 or lower, and they're both 2.5, I think. So it's very positive across the board. So even like a Shutter Island, Wolf of Wall Street, I still really, really like.
And yeah, someone tweeted like, "What's your favorite Scorsese movie of all time?" And had like a graphic of every movie he's ever made, and I quoted it saying like, "Scorsese has to be the only director in existence where he genuinely has like 15 movies that like I wouldn't be surprised if someone said was their favorite." And like Reservoir Dogs like replied to tweets like, "That's crazy. I counted. There's like literally 15. Like that you wouldn't be surprised if someone said like, this is my favorite Scorsese movie." Like it's just such a crazy filmography.
Genuinely, like I'm looking at this. I think any of them bar 2, and they're his first 2. Because they're completely different tonally. I think any of them, if they said it's my favorite Scorsese, I'd be like, yeah, fair.
Right, because even like none of us were high on The Age of Innocence, but there's a lot of people out there that's like, that's their favorite.
The Age of Innocence is 23rd on my ranking. I give it a 3-star, but people
which like totally makes sense because if that's like your genre movie, that's like really his only like romantic drama, like or the most that he's ever made. So like if that's like your style of movie, that's probably gonna be a favorite Scorsese movie.
We did a kind of romance-ish. Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore with Ellen Burstyn. That's 11th on my ranking. That's really, really good. I definitely recommend people watch that. But yeah, any of these people said it was their favorite. I'm like, yeah, fair.
Cam or George, do you have a top 10 from Scorsese you want to share? Or not really.
I got mine.
Oh, yeah, Cam, let's hear it.
So I've only seen 10. Maybe I've seen more, and I don't know because I feel like I've seen The Aviator. I don't have it rated, but so Age of Innocence is 10. Yeah, shout out that real quick. Didn't love it. 3.5 though, so it's fine. The Irishman I used to have higher. Upon rewatch, I didn't love it as much, but that's my 9. 8 After Hours. 7 Shutter Island. 6 The Wolf of Wall Street. 5 Casino. 4 Taxi Driver. 3 Raging Bull. 2 and these are both 5 out of 5s, very highly rated for myself. Goodfellas, and then number 1, The Departed.
You need some silence in your life, Cameron.
I know. I haven't seen Silence. I haven't seen Killers of the Flower Moon, obviously.
I'm very intrigued to hear your thoughts when you do watch Killers of the Flower Moon.
I'm excited.
Very interesting.
It's the like one movie that I would take off my headphones and not listen to the review on because I actually want to see it for myself. But
makes sense.
George, what's your ranking?
Yeah, I got 17 logged. So I still got work to do in his filmography. Shout out Age of Innocence, number 17. the only one on this list that I probably just truly did not like. Number 10, I got Gangs of New York. Number 9, I have Raging Bull. 8, After Hours. 7, King of Comedy. 6, Silence. All 5 of those were 4.5s. My entire top 5 is 5 out of 5s. 5, I got Shutter Island. 4, Wolf of Wall Street. 3, The Departed. 2, Taxi Driver. And 1, Goodfellas. Say what you want about Scorsese, but he is the king of the film bros.
Yeah. I mean,
do
he makes
not
good
put him
movies.
in that. Do not put him in that category.
He literally makes film bro movies. I don't care what anyone says. He literally makes film.
I would
bro
call
Wall
him
Street is like the most film bro.
He's
movie.
like the
That
most
is true.
film bro movie
The
out
Departed is pretty film bro. Goodfellas is pretty film bro.
Okay, fine. He does.
Taxi Driver only because of Joker is extremely film bro. But
no, Taxi Driver was film bro
there.
before Joker.
Taxi Driver is always.
Taxi Driver was. That's what
I mean,
it was.
Scorsese has always
Scorsese's
been
the best,
one of the biggest film bro filmmakers out there.
But he ventures into so many areas.
Yeah, I'm not saying
it's not like a.
This is not a bad thing.
This is not a knock.
No,
If anything, this is better for him.
I know what you mean, like because the popularity, like Goodfellas, definitely Wolf of Wall Street, whatever. But what I like about him is he just covers so many areas.
Like Silence isn't film bro, but
no,
Killers of the Flower Moon is neither.
Isn't either.
I wouldn't even call The Irishman. I don't think most film bro people like The Irishman.
Which is
interesting.
The Irishman does make film bro movies.
The Irishman's
Casino's pretty film bro.
What is a film bro film? Isn't that the audience?
You know what a film.
You know it when
I
you see
agree.
it. You know when you see it.
No, I agree. I know what one is, but like, how do we? Is it the audience that chooses them? Because he doesn't put it out like, yeah, this is going to bang with the film.
No, the audience chooses. You can make a movie that you don't want to be.
I agree with you, but it's like at the same time, like Goodfellas. Do you know what I mean? I think it's like it transcends a film, bro.
Scorsese probably did not make Goodfellas and think, damn, in 40 years, some cool film bros are gonna love this movie.
But I just think it transcends that. Do you know what I mean? It's just
like if the movie has a he's literally me character, film bro movie.
Who the fuck does Goodfellas have a live? Does he? Henry Hill? Really?
I mean, yeah, Henry Hill.
It's just mobster asshole to all it is just being an asshole.
Yeah.
Like no one actually, I hope, wants to be Henry Hill, but they'll be like, it's
people.
But it's cool to say you want to be Henry Hill.
Yeah. I guess so.
Well, there's our Scorsese rankings. Was Cam or no? I was the only one with The Aviator in the top 10. I really like The Aviator.
The Aviator is cool.
I said I think I've seen it. I just I don't have.
That was like when I started my first career ever. Like the 2 movies I was told to watch was The Aviator and Office Space.
It makes sense for you, yeah.
Office Space because of corporate world, and The Aviator because the company I worked for at the time was what bought Hughes Aircraft. So like my company was the final like one who acquired Hughes Aircraft. So they're like, oh, this is like kind of the inception of our company basically in this movie. So go check it out.
Yeah.
And then I
got like a 3.5. I like The Aviator. I'm not huge on it, to be honest. I don't think Leo's really, really, really good in that.
So Kate Blanchett's great in it too.
She is, yeah, it's really good.
Hot take.
Yeah, hot take. Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Blanchett.
No, but I mean, like Leo's like it's for me, like The Aviator probably be like his one of his better roles. I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's easy to do in that biopic because that guy's life was so wild. Like he had so much to play off of and such a range.
Catch Me If You Can, kind of. Similar
Yep,
sort of
exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, before we kind of wrap up here, Cam, I know you and George kind of wanted to quickly touch on Loki. So it's over, right? Loki's done.
No. 2 more
Oh
episodes.
no. Okay. No. Mind. So, yeah,
is it a weekly thing or is it just released
weekly every Thursday?
It's every Thursday.
So take it
night.
away. Your thoughts on Loki?
You could start off. I my thing is I don't like. I keep seeing people tweet basically saying like, "Oh, Loki is too convoluted for its own good," and I think this is getting like the Inception treatment. Inception's not a hard movie to follow. I think you're just stupid if you truly don't understand it. And I'm thinking the exact same for Loki. Like it's very much not that hard to follow.
I mean, yeah, they explain everything, and
they literally hold your hand throughout the show.
Kie Kwan holds your hand and walks you through.
Yeah.
And I tweeted the other day.
Yeah.
My favorite genre of media is Kie Kwan just spewing nonsense about the multiverse, just expecting us to be like, yeah, that's cool. That's fine.
I think the fact that episode 4 ended on such a cliffhanger just kind of
and I think
sent
it's one
people
of those
into a
things where,
frenzy.
People are in a frenzy for a week, and that's what they want.
Yeah.
So
which is a good reaction. Like I texted you immediately. I said, "Are you watching Loki?" Because I wanted to talk to you about it. So I'm excited that we could talk about it here. So do you care to talk about the whole episode, or do you want to just talk with the ending?
So let's see. Anything worth noting in the so first thing about Loki as a whole, because I haven't been here, I think Loki, even season 2, is just leaps and bounds better than the rest of the MCU Disney Plus shows. It's not a high bar for most of them.
Is it season 2 now?
Yeah, so this is season 2.
I thought there was more of Loki for some reason.
But you say it's not a high bar, but I still think it is a very good show.
Yeah, I stand by, and I know you don't agree, George. I think Loki season 1, not season 2 as much, is up there with, like, for me personally, like The Boys and Daredevil, and I like Peacemaker a lot, so I'd put it up there. The rest of them are like, well, I can enjoy them or not there.
Yeah.
I really love season 1, and I think season 2 is great, and it's there's like an article about how they had to fight to get like real set design and real like
which is crazy.
That's sad, very sad, but I'm glad they fight for it, and I'm sure like the other showrunners. And again, there's like reports on Marvel kind of resetting with their TV, now getting actual showrunners. Loki has had a showrunner, Michael Waldron, through and through, first and second season. Like, while he's not perfect, he at least is there and has the story mapped out kind of thing. And so I think Loki just does the things with practical sets, and they have good writing. Maybe not the best thing ever, but they have good writing for Marvel TV shows. Like they're doing these things very well. So I love this season a lot. Shit person, fuck you, Jonathan Majors, probably the best actor in the MCU right now. Just is a good actor. Yeah,
he really is good. He really is good as Kang.
Yeah, he's amazing as Kang, and I hope he gets recast just because like who he is. Obviously, Loki season 2 was completed before he did what he did. And you know, I got a lot of comments when I said "fuck you, Jonathan Majors" in my like episode 1 review of like, wasn't he acquitted or whatever? That doesn't mean he probably isn't a shit person. I don't know if he like actually anything was proven, but that also could be a whole lot of just the fact that Disney covers up a whole lot of shit. So I really dislike him, and We Believe Women, that sort of thing. Like I'm anti him. He does a good job in this. I'm not going to deny that. My wife just walked in, so I may have to hop off for a quick sec. But I like the ending. Might have reset the MCU timeline. Very cool. That's kind of the big theory right now. I'm going to guess not, because I think the MCU is a lot safer than that. But it probably helped.
That was like my immediate thought. Like the reason I wanted to like talk about this is because like my immediate thought was like, wow, did they just like completely reset the MCU timeline? Seth and Tyler, do you care if I spoil?
I
won't be watching Loki.
Okay.
Your new TikTok video made me laugh. George just watched it. It's fine.
Which video?
The fucking Venom one. Stupid.
Thanks, man.
I do think if I were to watch an MCU show, it might be Loki or WandaVision, because I actually quite like Loki.
But anyways, just so at the end of episode 4, basically like all of the timelines basically like I guess converge and explode. And the way I left that episode was my immediate thought was this could be the end of the MCU, and I think that would be a very fitting ending. Like just a complete explosion of the TVA, a complete explosion of the timelines. Fuck every character, fuck every storyline. It's over. That's it. Obviously, that's not the case. That's not going to be the case. There was I don't know what you call it, but like one of the Lokis like tases the other Loki and makes him disappear. I don't know what you call it.
It's a callback to episode 1, right? Because like you see him get pulled back, and you think it's him getting pruned, but it's Loki from the future pruning himself. That is like a complicated time loop, but
I'm sure that's going to come into play where like now Loki is aware of what's going to happen, and he's going to like prevent it. I get. Yeah. I don't know. That's like a big theory that one instance is very, very important. But yeah, it's just in terms of like my reviews, I love that Loki is like. I feel like one thing the MCU shows have been lacking is my care to discuss them after episodes drop. Like, I never felt the need to talk about like Miss Marvel. I never felt the need to talk about like Moon Knight because I just don't think they were as compelling as I would have liked them to be. But every Loki episode, there's just something worth talking about. There's something worth theorizing about. And I think that's one of the strong suits of this TV show that I really love. I'm pretty much done with like Loki.
I'm with you, and my big theory is that they're gonna have to like rebuild the timeline. That's kind of my expectation. I know. So Jonathan Majors was written in 4 episodes, so I think the last 2 are going to be very Kang heavy.
Yeah. But also, every single MCU show I complain about the 6-episode format, so I'm curious to see how that.
Yeah, and I think this is the one show that they've done it well. I think you can do 6 episodes. You can make 6 hours of content and do really well with it. They always rush it, and then the final episode is just like, hey, here's this big boss fight, you know. Yep. And that's what I love about Loki season 1 is that there's no boss fight, like really at all. It's just kind of dialogue.
Good shit.
Yeah, and I think Tom Hiddleston just being the longest running actor in the MCU helps a lot, obviously.
Yeah, he's great. He's just like consistently great.
Good. Yeah, he really knows what
not even consistently good, just like consistent
I mean, I gotta assume he's the longest running.
He's got to be the long. He's in the first.
He was in the first.
Oh, he's in the first Thor, isn't he? Is he in the first Thor?
Yeah, he's in the first.
That was 2009. Was it that long ago?
Yeah, but he's been like the most consistent actors in the end. Like Chris Hemsworth, I think turned in a bad performance in Thor: Love and Thunder. I think Chris Evans turns in a bad performance in Captain America: Civil War. I think
Chris Evans.
Yeah, I think he's like so corny in that. Like I think the
movie.
No,
it's just the character, though.
I think the movie itself is great. I just think he's like overly like stoic in that movie, and it's a little. I don't love it too much.
Wait, which movie did you say?
Civil War.
Oh,
I don't think he's like bad. I just don't think he's like.
He's not like Drax.
He's not Winter Soldier Captain America, and that's my favorite version.
Is that not the writing though?
I'm sure. I mean, it's the same filmmakers. It's both the Russo brothers.
I just mean like the rights of the characters in that individual film.
Oh, yeah, maybe. I mean, he has to be the antithesis of Tony Stark, so I'm sure it was like they just like overplayed it because of that. But not a bad performance, just not his best.
Not drugs.
Shout out Chris Evans for being in Pain Hustlers that just came out, giving an all-time bad accent.
I heard he's horrible to that.
I heard that movie sucks.
Yeah, but it's exciting to see. Like you said, I think this is the one show like talking about week to week is good and fun, and exciting. And there's like cliffhangers at the end of episodes that you care about and have implication. And I think one thing with like Moon Knight and other shows is like you don't know where they're going, so do you care? And that's the issue with you all connecting, right? Is I think you should care about the individual show, but I don't think they write them well enough to do that. So
they
like,
to care about the next episode.
Yeah, you have to care about the grand scheme, and if they're not connected, what's the point? You know,
is this like a show that's that good? It could turn people's mind on the MCU for a bit. You know what I mean? Like positively.
Because the next one's
Marvel,
I'm excited for, but I don't think. Yeah,
I thought People saying the Marvels looks good though. I mean, I haven't really watched much into it, but I think people
We'll
love
see.
Marvel.
I'm excited for it.
Although it is
The
women.
Marvels
in the
is doomed
MCU.
anyways, because I think my hot take prediction is the Marvels doesn't get terrible critical reception, but like MCU fans are gonna hate it because they're stupid. Like, oh, women, this movie's the
Women.
worst.
It's you're not even wrong though. This is the thing. You're not even wrong. That's what they'll say. It's terrible.
Yeah, like I genuinely like I have a low-key suspicion that like people might actually genuinely like the Marvels a little bit, but it won't be like it'll get kind of dogged by MCU fans.
Yeah.
But yeah, with that, time to go through executive producers, wrap this episode up. It's great to have all 4 of the boys back. Shout out to 7 Mod Jeffy, Alexander Biscardi, Ben Leggy, Ben Hansey, Cody Whitney, Connor Connaughton, Dakota Buckner, Dean Cotamanidis, Dylan Chip, Ferdinand 04, James Magos, Jimmy O'Connor, Jordan Gagg, Josh Hines, Casper Lundberg, Luke Deerhog, M. Bate, Reese David, Remy Walker, Rocco 1.0, Russell Hone, Robert Leo Gislason, Sean Morales, Stefan Johnson, Trey Artsy, Will Kim, and Zach Graves. Shout out to all of you. Several new like names in there that I have never read before. So shout out to all of you for joining the Patreon. Obviously, check the description down below for the links on where to join the Patreon. Awesome perks like Discord, plenty of other awesome perks as well. Go check out all the different tiers. With that, that is Real Talk episode 59. Long little episode today, and we will see you on Thursday with our draft of the best Halloween candy of all time. Peace.